record. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Creative Tavern. Sorry, I always get mixed up in the beginning. My name is Christopher Lee. I am a concept artist. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. Worked with various companies such as Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative. And I'm here today with my buddy, Michael Welker. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael O. Wilker. I am a writer, semi retired creative producer, also from the entertainment industry, and now novice Unity developer. I've worked in the entertainment industry for a couple of years too, alongside Chris at various companies like Walt Disney Imagineering and Universal Creative. Both of us most recently in Osaka, Japan, working on Super Nintendo World. After that project, we decided that we wanted to do something together because we were kind of in between big theme park projects. And so, long winding road later, we decided, hey, let's learn how to make a video game. And not only that, but we decided that it would be really helpful to give other people a window into our creative process and to see us make this thing, learn how to make this thing along the way. And that's how the Creative Tavern was born. And so, to tell you more about that, I'll hand it back to Chris.
Yeah, the Creative Timer was essentially born because Michael and I wanted to create a space for all the various creators, such as yourself, whoever's watching, a place to just gather and hang out and share their experience, any victories, any hardships, any stories, any artwork, just anything at all. We are here for you guys. This is a platform for you guys. If you guys have anything to share, we are here to listen and just get to know you. And hopefully, like Michael said, you'll see us develop this game and be inspired that you guys can see our, our hardships as well as, again, we are very new to this. I've never really designed a video game from start to finish, let alone, programming. Thank God I have Michael to help do all the programming. I could, create all the digital assets, right? Uh, One thing that I did work in the video game industry for like maybe less than half a year, or I'm sorry, less than a year. However, I was only creating concept art. To do this project, I not only have to do the concept art, but I have to do the concepts, modeling, texturing, rigging, and anything else that I'll discover that I may or may not have to do. Because it's I'm learning. I'm learning. I hopefully that you guys can see me struggle and just me fighting this process day by day, and hopefully we could have something awesome and amazing at the end of the light, end of the journey, if you will. And yeah, anything to add, Michael?
Uh, I don't think so. That was very well said. We're just happy to have you along on this creative adventure with us. So, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. And because today is Wednesday, Wednesday is Michael's day. So Michael is gonna let us know, share with us what he has been learning in Unity, as well as what he's been developing in Unity. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Michael.
Okie dokie. So, I'm going to share my screen here. Screen. We're going to do smoother video because I'm going to actually play the game here.
Sweet.
So I'm going to do things a little bit different from what I did last time. Anybody who was here previously knows that I am working through some online tutorials. Shout out to the guys at gamedev.tv. They have amazing educational content. If you are at all interested in learning how to make video games or interested in Unity or Unreal or even Blender, they have courses on how to make things in Blender. Check them out.
Sponsor
Their
us.
their
S-
content's awesome. So
We welcome a
um,
sponsorship. We welcome it.
we're not sponsored, but we would love to be
That
because
would be cool.
our product is really good, and
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly endorse it as somebody who's gotten through all of the 3D course, and I'm now chewing my way through the 2D course. But anyway, previously, what I had done last week was I kind of showed you guys first. Here is the game that I made since we last talked. It was a first-person shooter of a sort of zombie game, and then I showed like, okay, and here are the learnings that I took out of that and brought over into a rail shooter game. This week I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to show you the learnings and the new things that I've added to the rail shooter, and then I'm going to show you the three 2D games that I've made since we last talked. And I'll kind of
Sweet.
you'll get to see like, oh, that's where he picked up such and such. But that said, the updates to the rail shooter this week are pretty minor. I didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to put a ton in there, but that's actually part of that's fine because that was like planned for me. I wanted to make sure that my focus was on trying to get through as much of the tutorials as possible. That way, um, from here on, trying to because basically Chris and I are trying to target a September beta where the intended sort of completion of this MVP for us is hitting that beta milestone where we can say,
Hmm.
okay, we made everything that we wanted to put into this game, and we're going to launch that and share it with you guys in September. That's the plan. So I'm still on track with that plan, and moving after this week, I'm going to start focusing less on the tutorials and more on actually building some of these scenes for our prototype level. So, with that said, I'm going to show you our game in progress. This is roughly where we were last week. Oh, by the way, I had some pretty serious problems with trying to upgrade to a new version of Unity and converting the project over to the new version, and the new Unity didn't like it, and it broke, and then I had to try to go back, and
Ooh.
it was a huge mess, a lot of problems. This particular file I recovered and I think is mostly okay. There may still be some problems with it though, so I'm proceeding cautiously, but I've got another file too where I can basically build because everything we're seeing in here, this is just a sandbox for me to play with and figure out like, oh, how does all, how do I get the ship to move around, and how do I get the drone to like target the player? Like this is just a place for me to experiment with that stuff. So I have
Right.
another file that I started from scratch in the old version of Unity, the one that my computer likes. So if I need to go there, I'll do that. But anyway, with all that said, the big thing from last week was I found a way to get this like yellow hit flash feedback on the drone, so that way when the player shoots the drone will pulse yellow. So that's kind of what you're seeing there. And if I shoot any of these other drones, they'll do the same thing, but they have a lot less health than this guy up in front of me. I give this guy in front of me a whole lot of health. That way I could show you like, oh, hey, look,
Yeah.
here's the flashing thing works. But and if I shoot him enough, I can kill him.
Yeah. Hey,
So
hey, we see you, Totoro. How are you doing? Sorry, Michael.
that's okay. Welcome, Totoro. So yeah, so that's kind of where we were as of last week. The big thing that I was gonna try to do for this week was I was trying really hard to get up through a certain number of the tutorial or a certain point in the tutorial. That way I could implement like a health system into the game, like put an actual health bar into the HUD, and I did that. So I'm gonna turn our HUD on. Clear
Ooh,
out
cool.
these. Do, 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 do. And it's real simple. It's nothing too crazy. I was just like as basic as possible. But you can see I've got this
Ooh.
health bar up at the top, and I don't have collision detection for the player yet. So when the enemy is shooting me, like you can just see the blazers just going right through. It's not doing anything. But on the keyboard, I added a key function where I can just press a key and take damage. So if I do that, you'll see the health
Oh, yeah.
decrease up at the top there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have it just set to do that. It doesn't recharge at all. There's no way to recharge it right now, though I know how to program that in, so I can do that.
Oh, nice.
So there we go. I was able to get that health bar functional in there. And this is like one way to do the health bar. There are some other ways where you can actually have like a background, so you can see like the health bar emptying, and you can see the empty space, and then see it refill. Currently, the way this one is working, it's just a single image that is depleting. I kind of like the container version better,
Yeah.
which I can actually show you in one of the tutorial games that I made. You'll get to
Yeah.
see that. Um, but I wanted to try both ways. So I did that one, and then I wanted to try this one in our game just to see, like, ooh, okay, this is how that's going to work. The other
Very cool.
thing that I added to the HUD is in the bottom right, you can see there's a boost number and a boost sphere. This one,
Oops. Sorry. We're
here,
actually
I'm actually going to reset this. This one also responds. So if I hit my boost, you can see it depletes. And then when it gets to 0, my boost stops. And then you can see it refilling.
cool.
Um, and I have the numbers in here just for like debugging purposes. That way, when we're doing this, you can see like, oh, okay, cool. The boost got down to 32%, and that's what that is. And you can
Nice.
see it refilled to 100%. But I think in the final game, mm, if we still include the number, obviously all of the HUD will be a lot sexier.
Sure.
Um, but I almost wonder like if we even need the numbers there. And in some cases, I think it's more interesting to kind of keep that stuff hidden um, if the player doesn't necessarily need to know about it.
Right.
But anyway, the point is, I figured out how to add like some different shapes to the HUD and the different ways that you can kind of manipulate them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some of the ways that we can actually look at that would be if I go to yeah, can I just do this and
Hey,
spin around this
Cyborg.
way?
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for being
Welcome.
here. Yay.
Yeah.
And Totoro says, "Hey guys, doing good. Just had the knee surgery earlier today.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
and this stream is a great relief. Very glad you guys are on tonight. Looking great. Thank you so much. Very satisfying to see the
Thanks, man.
exploding enemies. Hope you recover soon. Oh my goodness, knee
Yeah,
surgery.
please.
That's
But glad you got that
cool.
taken care of, because otherwise
Yeah.
that could have been a much bigger problem down the road. So,
Yeah, yeah. But yes,
so get well soon.
yeah. Again, thank you so much for being here, Total, Cyborg, and Heavy and Feathery. Thank you guys. Yay! All right.
Thanks for being here,
So,
everybody.
yeah. Sorry. Cool. Sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
Sure, no problem. So one other thing that's kind of cool, which I think will appear here, is there's like different ways to like deal with the object here in terms of like its fill. So currently I have it set to vertical fill, which means, as I deplete it, you can see it go
Mhm.
deplete like
Mhm.
that and then it'll fill back up this way.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you can also do like horizontal. So, you can have it deplete this way, which is what the health bar does. The health bar
Yeah.
depletes horizontally.
Right.
But in addition to that, you can also do these like cool radial depletions. So like this one's almost like,
Oh, sweet.
a clock
Ooh,
counting down, right?
I kind of like that better. It's kind of like gasoline, it's like
Hmm.
or not gas, like fuel. I
Sure.
don't know why I say gas. It's like fuel, right? But well, fuel could do vertical or horizontal. Either way, whatever looks better. Sorry.
Yeah,
Audio.
yeah, I like either of them, but yeah, so now, with that simple little change, like now it that boost depletes that way and then refills with that radial instead. So it's that easy to like make these changes.
That's cool.
Uh, and then the other thing that we could do with it too is you can change like the origin. So you could currently see that when it's depleting, it's starting from the bottom and kind of like
Uh-huh.
going up to the top. But if you wanted, you could say like, I want it to start from the top and then deplete this way. So you can
Sure,
see it's
sure,
a
sure,
little bit
sure.
different. And then you can also choose like clockwise or counterclockwise. So if you really wanted to make it look like a clock, you could do like this, where it
Mhm,
looks like
mhm.
it's a clock sort of counting down.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so that was the big victory this week, was figuring out how to get the HUD component, like the essential HUD components, because really we can't. I think that's something that we couldn't. I mean, technically we could have made the game without that, where it's just like if the player takes enough hits that they'll explode, and the player just has in their mind like, okay, I
Right.
can take roughly like 3 shots and then I blow up. But I think this
Right.
is way cooler, and we can add in either health pickups in the game that you can fly over to restore your health, which I'm not really sure about. I really like the idea though of if you can avoid taking damage for a while, then your health can just refill.
Sure.
Um, Halo style, or like if play
Sigma.
Overwatch and you play a
Yeah.
character with a shield, like their shield depletes and then it'll recharge.
Yeah.
Um, or like Call of Duty does something similar. Well, I don't know. I haven't played Call of Duty in a long time, but there was a time when Call of Duty games would do like you would take a bunch of damage, and then as long as you know got out of the line of fire and kind of like hung back for a little while, then your health recharged to full. Like
Mhm, mhm.
the the jelly on the screen would fade away, and you would come back to full health, and then you could go
Yeah.
about your business. So I don't know. There's something to be said for like an actual health pack system, and then something to be said for the regenerative health system. Probably the simplest thing for us would be to just do the regenerative one, so we could look into that. But
Right.
yeah, that's the. Or, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Heavy says, in my opinion, the boost could be just the image, but I kind of like the health bar having a percentile number.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
good input.
good
Thank you,
note.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Um,
this is great, man. You're like you're doing all you're tackling all the necessary info for the game. So that's really good.
yeah, there's a couple of things that are still a little bit well, a couple things that are a little bit buggy, and then a couple of components that I haven't programmed in that are on my list to hopefully get to. Like one of which is oh, and this was one of the things that I was going to mention is it would be really cool if once you start shooting enemies, and this was like your suggestion, I think last week or the week before, Chris,
Mm,
was like it'd be great if once you start shooting the drone, you could see above their head their little health bar, so that way you would know like
yeah.
not only do you get feedback when the drone turns yellow when you hit them, but you also get feedback like how close are you to killing that unit.
Right.
Um, I don't know how to do that yet, but something I can do now with what we can see is what I could program in is once you've engaged an enemy, there could be an enemy health bar that appears up here that shows you like their health bar.
Oh,
Um,
sure, sure.
then once you shoot them, you can see their health bar deplete, and then once it depletes and they explode, then it goes away. That's something that a lot of games do with like boss characters,
Right,
is they
right.
usually
Yep,
do
yep.
like a boss health bar on the
Mhm,
screen.
mhm. Yeah.
Um,
It's like
I
Double
think that
Dragon had that.
actually, the Double Dragon is like one of the big video games that I actually never got to play.
Ah, okay. Yeah, but essentially, like up top, they would have. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But anyways, it's just basically each individual bad guys has a health bar on top. Whenever you punch them, you could see like their health going down. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Yeah, it's a pretty common convention
Mhm.
in video games, and it helps with feedback. But that's usually reserved for bosses to put
Mm.
it static on the screen in like a
Mhm.
specific
Mhm.
spot, and for like more like lowly enemies or minions and things like that. Usually, if you see their health bar at all, it's in in the game world space above their heads.
Right, right.
And so there's kind of that distinction between like these uh, more lowly enemies versus like, oh shit, this is the boss. Bam, gets
Right.
his own icon on the HUD. Um, but anyway, that's something that we could look into as a sort of uh, a shortcut if I can't figure that out. There is a course available that I have in the Game Dev TV lineup that I
Mhm.
know does that,
Mhm.
but it's kind of an intermediate course, and I don't know how deep into the course that is, so I may not get to it before our September goal, but I'll certainly try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
there you go.
yeah, I think that that health bar on top of the little our enemies. I mean, that's a nice thing to have basically, but it's not essential. I think what's most important is to get all the essentials done first, um,
Totally.
and then we could polish later.
Hmm. Um, I agree. So so there you have it. That's what I have to show in the rail shooter so far.
Hey,
Uh,
Michael, can you back
yes,
up to the interface screen again?
sure. You want to see here?
Yeah. Did you create a crosshair for the
Oh,
game?
you're looking at this thing?
Yeah.
No. This is part of the Unity HUD whenever you're dealing with like an on-screen element. These are called
Oh.
anchors, and
Oh, I
so
see.
there are certain elements on screen that are like relative to that thing.
Got it, got it,
Um,
got it. I,
so
I
yeah,
thought you
so
created the targeting system.
no.
I was like, oh, he did it.
Nope, not yet.
All
Though
right.
I'm confident, yeah, that it's certainly going to be possible to like put a crosshair on the screen, but getting that to behave, with in relation to the mouse cursor, it could be tricky. And the other thing that I thought about after we talked about this that I think could be even trickier is I think we're still going to need because the crosshairs that we have currently in the game are important and it's so they're different than you see in a lot of like first person shooters. In a first-person shooter, you'd see something that looked a little bit more like that on screen, right? Where you
Mm-hmm.
have like maybe just this outer one right in the middle of the screen, and you know whenever you shoot your gun, the bullet's going to go right there. Ours doesn't quite work that way. Ours is actually sort of projected out in front of the ship, and you can see when I move left to right, the smaller reticle on the inside of the bigger reticle actually moves relative to the bigger one. And that's because that gives you this sort of like a, a a three-dimensional projection of where your bullets are going to go or where your lasers are going to go relative to the difference between where the camera is and where the actual ship is. And that has to do with like, vanishing lines, right? Like if you've done a
Uh-huh.
drawing class, you know that when
Uh-huh.
you do like uh train, like if you're doing the classic train tracks, like running to the horizon line, right? If you are standing right on top of the train tracks, then those lines go, from your perspective, like sort of straight out to the horizon line and kind of make that triangle shape.
Right.
But if you move the camera to the left or to the right, uh, that line shifts. Even though it's still going out to the horizon line, you get this change in perspective.
Yep.
Um, and we need to convey that to the player in this game if the camera is not moving, or if the camera is moving. If the ship moves independent of the camera, which it does,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which means we're going to need to be able to include that information somehow, because, for example, like where this bot is right now, the one that's kind of flying out in front of us and shooting at us, our bot that has a whole shit ton of health when I shoot that guy. If I move my ship over here and I move my mouse here, and I can kind of like track him with my mouse,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm actually going to be shooting him, because if the ship changes, oh man, this is going to be so difficult to explain with words. But basically, what I'm saying is, um, a single crosshair that's just like moving on the plane of the camera will not capture where the shots from the plane are actually going to be going,
Mm.
because this targeting reticle system uses the like if you were to shoot a line straight out of the nose of the ship, that
Uh-huh.
lines up perfectly with these targeting reticles.
Right.
If you did that from the camera, it would be shooting straight out of the camera, but if the ship is in a different position, like
Right.
those things aren't going to line up anymore. So anyway, that's a thing that I think when and if I get the time to tinker with that and figure that out, uh, that might be a whole other can of worms for us to play with. But anyway,
Right.
so
Can I bring up something really quick?
mhm.
Based off of what we talked about offline, from last session, we talked about placing a turrets, so that turrets, can be, I guess the targeting system is independent from the plane. I don't know if that relates to what you're talking about, Michael.
Well,
Kind of
go,
does,
go ahead.
but not really. I'm assuming, that the targeting, where we're pointing out with the mouse is separate from the the plane tracking. I don't know if that makes sense at all. Do you remember what we were talking about, last time?
Yep, yeah,
Maybe you
that
could
yeah,
explain it
yeah,
better.
we're on the same page. We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the trick there is even with a separate turret on the ship,
Mhm.
the turret is attached to the ship. So when the ship
Yeah.
moves to the left side of the screen, and if the cursor stays on the right side of the screen, well, now the turret is aiming. It's basically the equivalent of having the plane when it moves to the left side, just looking further to the right. Um, but the point is that the line of sight from the turret is different than the line of sight from the camera,
Right. Right. Yeah.
which is the central problem to
Problem.
solve here.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it certainly helps with like visually, because it would be really weird to have the plane on like the far left side of the screen and then the cursor on the far right side of the screen and have the plane, almost at a 90-degree angle. and but still flying forward like it was,
Right.
drifting, like that would look really weird. So having the
Right.
turret on there is cool because you can decouple those things. Like I've just got the plane flying around, the plane could always be pointing forward and
Yeah.
doing its thing. And then the turret's just aiming wherever to shoot stuff. Like that I think is still totally fine. It's just the potential problem is making sure that the targeting reticle makes sense and can still detect like and can still bridge the gap between where the camera perspective is and where the turret is and what the
Uh-huh.
player is trying to shoot at because those things are like have different uh lines of sight if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Sure, sure, sure.
So anyway, that's a complication for a future day.
Yeah. That's future Michael's problem. Don't worry about
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that Simpsons episode where Homer says something like that along the lines of like, "Oh, that's a problem for future Homer to deal with." I think he's like, he's supposed to be going on a diet or something, and so he's eating all these donuts. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. That's my update for the rail shooter for this week. Any comments or questions from Chris or the chat before I move on?
No, no. I think that's great, man.
Excellent. So my
Uh, uh
plan, yep, go
sorry,
ahead.
sorry. One more question. What other interface screen interface do you think we will need? We have health, we have boost, maybe potentially enemy health bar. Uh, in a rail shooter, what other things do you think we'll need?
Sure. So, depending on the additional things that we add down the line, which I'm not really going to worry about right now because we don't have them programmed into the game, and I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. But like, if we want to have different types of weapons, we'll need some kind of system. Like that system will need to be programmed, and then the HUD will have to reflect that. That way,
Sure.
like, am I shooting lasers? Am I shooting rockets? Am I shooting the flamethrower, or the laser beam, or shooting a bomb? You would need to keep track of like, well, how many bombs do you have, and is your flamethrower on cooldown? Like, you would need HUD indications for those sorts of things.
Mm.
It's possible that we would also want some kind of indication on screen to show, like, hey, this is the target, shoot these things, like maybe a little arrow that's kind of like dancing up and down to like point at something. Or
Mhm. Mhm.
like we saw in the Jurassic Park reference, where you've got that colored target that sort of like flies in from the screen and then changes from green to orange to red,
Oh yeah.
letting you
That's
know,
cool.
like, hey, you need to shoot this spot. If we wanted some kind of system like that, that's another thing that
Yeah.
we'd kind of need to figure out.
Right.
Um, but I think for where we are with just like, hey, we're just building a prototype thing. If it's kind of okay if it's bare bones at this point because this is the first game we've ever made. Like it's okay. It doesn't have to be this
Right.
triple A level thing with all this content. Um, so I think that's going to be okay. The other like huge uh, requirement in terms of like iconography and menu stuff is like a main menu of some kind where you can like
Mm. Mm.
load into the game and be like uh, play, quit, change the screen resolution or whatever. I have no idea how to do any of that. um, I mean, I guess what I've learned in the past week, I could start to like build that menu. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I probably do know enough now to start putting something together. It might be a really rudimentary and like really poorly coded thing where it's like, more advanced programmers would look at it and be like, "Oh man, you're doing this all wrong." Like, yeah, sure
Mm.
you got it, jerry rigged together and you were able to get it to work, but there are much better practices for doing it. Like that's probably the case, but I think actually, yeah, I probably could build something like that. So,
Mm.
but because the game is so simple and it's all supposed to be just like the first level, and it's a beta, like we
Yeah.
probably could get away with like when you launch the game, it just immediately goes into the game, and when you die, it just restarts the level, and when you're done, you just hit the escape key, and then it quits, and then that's that, and
Right.
there's just no menu.
Right.
Um, but that could be cool. There's also like a score component, which might be kind of nice to which I already have like largely programmed in there. But I have it turned off because when I like migrated the system from the tutorial
Ah.
to this
Yeah.
one, it broke a bunch of things, and so I didn't want to
Boo.
deal with it. I just shut it off.
Yeah.
But that would also be pretty easy to implement. So then you get points every time you kill something.
Mhm.
Um, So
Cool.
yeah, I would say that in response to that question.
Nice. Totoro says, future Michael will appreciate your fine work today. And he says, well described. That is tricky language, but I get it. I like the turret idea if it can work.
Yeah, both
Yeah,
Chris and I are really excited about that turret idea because
yeah.
um, the way this is programmed right now, it's very similar to, you know, the original Star Fox or Star Fox 64 style. So this would feel really good on a controller, but it feels a little weird on a computer because, you know, I'm using the mouse to like shoot, but not to look around. So, you know, I don't really need to use the mouse. I could just use a button. But then it would feel kind of weird just using like only your left hand to control and shoot and stuff. So it would be cool to be able to move the ship with the keyboard and then move the cursor with the
Hmm.
mouse. And then if the mouse controlled like the turret, like, oh, that'd be really neat. And it would be
Yeah.
also like a very easy port to mobile because then you can separate, you know, shooting on the screen from flying the ship. It makes those controls like a little bit more intuitive there, I would think.
Yeah.
Um, Now it's just a matter of figuring out how to do it, which I don't know yet.
We'll get there.
Um,
We'll get there.
yep, for sure. Okay, so with that
Sweet.
said, that's it for the rail shooter. What I'm probably going to do next for the rail shooter is going to be finishing up a little bit of the things in the sandbox, but really next time probably largely moving away from that and moving into actually doing a draft of one of the scenes. So we've got like basically four scenes. The first one is, you know, scene 1, 2 is kind of combined, which is kind of like what you're seeing here. It'll be a little bit something like this with like our big friendly capital ship, an asteroid field, and then drones. And then we've got several other things, scenes which we've talked about in the past. So I'm going to pick one of those and start working on that. Possibly scene 4, because as we saw last week, Chris has got a whole bunch of really amazing components that he's put together for the tube system in scene 4. So he's working on getting that into Unity, and then when I get a hold of that imported into the project, I'll start experimenting and playing with that. So that's kind of what my like vague plan is for the rail shooter for next time. And with that said, now I'm going to switch to, I think I'm going to leave it on smoother video, but I'm going to open up some other of the projects that I have going here. So
Nice.
going to Unity Hub. Let's do Delivery Driver. So this was the first game in the 2D course, um, which is pretty cool. It's very basic, especially because I'd already done the, what you call it, the 3D course.
Oh, cool.
There were a lot of things in here that were like pretty simple, but it was neat to like cut my teeth on the 2D stuff because there is some differences there. And like now you're dealing with sprites and how do sprites work. So the way this game basically works is I've got this car and I
Ah,
can
cool.
control it with my keyboard. And so if there are any like old school Grand Theft Auto fans out there who played like the original GTA or GTA 2, this will look very familiar. But so I've got this car, and then there are a couple of things on the ground here that, like, if I go over this, then I'll drive faster. It's like a little booster.
Nice.
Uh, and then there are these sort of like packages, these pink things. So if I drive over this, you'll see my car changes color. I grab the
Nice.
package, and now I can deliver it to this like blue landing pad here. So now the package has been delivered, and now I can go grab this one, and you'll see it gets removed from the game world. And so the idea of the game is that you're going driving around the area, and I'm going really slow because I crashed into something, which slows you down. But the idea is kind of driving around the neighborhood, picking up packages, and delivering them back to the delivery point. And I didn't program any more into this than, you know, the bare minimum to get through the tutorial because I was not trying to like make my own delivery driver game. I was trying to just like learn the essentials.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you can see actually that the environment doesn't continue. It's just you can just drive out into the open expanse of nothing, and there's just nothing out there. But
Nice.
yeah, so that's the game.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, looking into the environment here, you can see that as opposed to what we were just looking at in the rail shooter where we were moving around in 3D, everything here is just in 2D. Though you can click off of 2D up here and then see the
Oh, wow.
environment in 3 dimensions, because Unity, if I'm not mistaken, Unity originally was a 3D game engine, and then they added the 2D functionality on top of it. So the 2D games really are, you're still really working in 2D, or sorry, in 3D. Um, but it was a pretty, this was a really cool game. I got to learn about sprites and the way like different the sort of sprite system work, which is really interesting because one of the things that was interesting about it is changing the size of sprites. There's like two different ways to do it, and I don't completely I haven't completely wrapped my brain around how it all works. But
Mm,
basically, like an object inside the game space, I can grab, like, let's actually do this house instead. So I can grab this house and I can just, move its transform, which is the fancy word for the sort of shape and size and location of any game object. So you can see, it's probably a little hard to read because of the smoother video. In fact, I'm going to switch um, to better text readability for you guys. Sorry.
no worries.
Better text readability, go live, switch back to the game. So up here in the top right, you can see it's called transform, which just keeps track of the position, rotation, and scale of a thing. So you
Mm-hmm.
can see when I change the scale of this, it's adjusting some of these numbers. Um, so that's one way to adjust the size of sprites in the game. But another way that you can do it is if you go to the actual sprite asset here, you can change the number of pixels per unit. And the unit that's being referred to there is a Unity game unit, which you can see this grid
Mm-hmm.
in the game space. Um, these grids are a one by one Unity unit grid. That's
Mm-hmm.
and it's totally arbitrary. It doesn't relate to like meters or kilometers or centimeters. It's just Unity's arbitrary unit of measure.
Mm.
And so if I change this to like 100, you're going to see that the house gets really small. If I click apply, boop, so it gets really tiny.
Mm.
Um, and then if I change it to something much smaller, like maybe 10, it's going to get really big. And it changed all of the houses, not just the one that I
Right.
was dealing with before. Any house that uses that sprite now is displaying it at like a different resolution. I don't totally understand like if that means that, if I set this house at like 30 and then grab one and decide like, okay, I want to make it much bigger, does that mean it's going to be blurrier now than if I had set the sprite to a smaller, like fewer pixels per Unity unit, or if it's the same? Like, I don't really know. I just know that there's these two different ways to do it.
Uh-huh.
And the primary way that we went about doing it in this tutorial was adjusting things by the actual sprite size. Um, so yeah, so if anybody knows the answer to that, feel free to type it in the chat. Otherwise, stay tuned, and I will get back to you on the answer to that question, to that mystery, at a future date. But
Well,
yeah, for
from
now, sorry, go ahead.
from my Photoshop experience,
Hmm.
pixels, the more pixels there are, the more clear it is.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that there are more pixels to come to create a certain image, right? So if you have
Sure.
less pixels, it'll become more pixelated. So it was
Right.
really interesting to see that when you increased your pixels per unit, it actually got more pixelated. Actually, no, 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 no. Okay, I get it. I get it. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
it's
it's it's it's
it's less pixelated but
it,
smaller.
it's smaller, but it's smaller because it's being compacted within the PPU, if you will, like
Mm-hmm.
the pixels per unit. And then I'm curious, now that it's 100, can you click on it and then enlarge it? What is the
Yeah, it's looking
oh,
pretty
it's
blurry.
it's it's
I mean,
still blur.
and That must be the case. So it must be the case that either of those are really doing the same thing, because if the
Mm.
base image, which is here, it's this thing,
Yeah.
it's 265 by 164 pixels. That can't change. Like you can,
Oh, sure.
yeah. So I guess maybe it doesn't really matter which
Mm.
one of those you're using.
Yeah.
Hmm. Anyway, yeah, pixels and pixel resolution, it's real wacky. And like one of the other things that I had done in my uh, iOS and like Swift development learnings, same sort of weird thing happening there with like the different resolutions for icons and screen sizes and like 1x, 2x, and 3x. It's same image, but just at different resolutions for different
Mm.
screens.
Mm.
Um, it seems really simple, but it is often like totally mind bending for me.
Sure, sure.
Anywho, let's see, is there anything interesting happening in the scripts? Renderer collision. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff in here for like collision detection, and getting
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
getting the
Picking up the
car to move
packages.
around.
Oh.
Um, do, 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 do. Follow camera. Oh, this one was actually kind of interesting. The follow camera was crazy simple. You can see on the right-hand side here, this is the script. It's really just like 2 lines of code. Well, I guess it's technically 3 lines of code. This serialized field game object target. Um, this this code right here, these 3 lines of code, are all you need to write in to get the camera to follow the car. So like when I'm, driving the car around, you can see the camera is moving in the game world relative
Cool.
to. Is there an invisible object right there? I'm crashing into something and I can't get around it. That's. Oh, I know what it is. It's this house that I just adjusted. I changed the bounding
Ah.
box. It's huge
Ah.
now. But anyway, the I'll just drive over here. The point is that the camera follows the player's car.
Yeah,
And this
that's cool.
piece of code over here does that. So, yeah, next time, like if, after we're done with, this, the current rail shooter, any additional games where we're going to be doing in 2D and I need a camera to follow the player, like it's
Oh,
really easy.
yeah, this could be used for the Astro game. Asteroid game.
Yes,
Yeah, right?
exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, I mean, with just a little bit of modification, actually, we could turn this into the Astro game. Like you could do, I don't know
Mm.
if anybody ever played Vigilante 8, but which is this game in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, where you were driving cars and the cars had all these guns on them, and then it was kind of like no, Twisted Metal, not heavy metal.
Oh,
That's a totally different
Twisted.
thing.
Oh man, Twisted Metal.
Yeah, there was like Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8 were these like two games at this time where you controlled a car and the car had all these guns and you were driving around shooting things. And man, I really love Vigilante 8. I played a lot of that
Yeah,
game.
that was
But
fun.
anyway, so we could, just put a turret on the top of this car and then it can drive around and shoot things.
That's awesome.
Um,
There's a
so that
game
was
called
the
Death Rally that was really fun too.
Death Rally. I don't think I ever played
Yeah.
that one. Is it
Yeah,
the same idea? It's like cars
same idea.
shooting.
It's basically like there's 8 cars and then you have to get first place and then you're like racing through this various environments and then
Uh-huh.
you could have like weapons and it's basically exactly like the over the top asteroid looking thing. So it's really cool.
Yeah, sounds awesome, man.
To
Um,
Totoro says Vigilante 8, man, winner.
yeah. Okay,
Ooh.
so this game,
Oh,
let's
cool.
maximize and play. I'll go ahead and play this. This game is a sort of snowboarding game where I'm kind of like, oh, actually,
Nice.
hang on, I need to. I have the goalpost here for debugging purposes to have it really close to the player, but I need to move this so that way I can actually play this whole level for you guys. A little sneak peek at what's going on with the level there. I'll put it right at
Nice.
the end. Okay. So, yeah, you've got this little snowboarder guy. So he's, jamming away on the snow here, and I can actually like, if I can go up one of these things, I could
Oh,
do like little
whoa,
flips
whoa,
and
whoa.
things. Like,
Oh, whoa, careful.
um, but then I could also,
Ah!
wipe out. So like if I land
Yeah,
on my head, it'll just restart the level, and I can try to do these like jumps and things. Oh no, can't do. I think I could do a forward, yeah, flip here, and then a backward
nice.
flip. Nope. I'm terrible at this game.
That's so fun.
Um, ah,
If you do a flip, then you'll get extra points, I'm sure.
yeah, exactly. We can put in like scoring system, all that stuff. But yeah, so this game is pretty cool. Like you've got the little
Nice.
snowboarder guy. Um, and the level's a little long in the like back half of this level, I got a little bit bored, or
Uh-huh.
I didn't put in a whole lot of neat stuff. Um, but yeah, this one was really cool because there's some things that I learned in here that are just not things in the 3D space. One of which is, and I can show a little bit of this when we jump out and get into the editor, but I want to show you like getting all the way to the end here. The snow terrain that I'm like snowboarding on, it
Hmm.
has a system. If I click on that guy, so yeah, the level sprite shape. Um, it's got this cool under here. Yeah, edit splines. So this thing is just one shape. And actually, I'm gonna switch back to better text readability. Sorry to keep switching back and forth, but now it's gonna be a little bit better for you guys to be able to read it and to
Cool.
see what
Thank you.
I'm looking at here. So this shape, it's just one shape, and you can adjust it as I like. So if I want to like add a node here, I can, and then I can put like a little hill here, and kind of
Cool.
do this sort of a thing. Maybe add another one. I'm like, ooh, okay, cool. So there you go. So that's pretty neat. It also has this element called a surface effector, which you see down here. And basically, the simplest way to understand what that is it acts like a conveyor belt system on the shape. So I can basically set this speed function here, or set
Oh,
the speed
interesting.
variable. So if I change this to something like 50 and play the game again,
Oh, crap.
uh, you're gonna see we're gonna
Whoa.
actually, are we? I guess we are going a little bit faster, but let's try something really nuts, like maybe 5,000.
Oh, geez.
Uh, um, that actually, nope. I
Huh,
think I have
interesting.
code that is resetting that. Player controller. Actually, border. Player controller. Yep, there you go. Okay, so this was overriding that, but I can change this to like 200. And what that's going to do is it's going to feed that number into that conveyor belt system. And so now we should be going much, much faster. Oh my God.
Oh, geez. Oh, God.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Straight
He's
to the
flying.
moon. I don't even
Whoa.
think oh, there we go.
Oh, geez.
Wow, look at it go. Wow.
Oh, man.
This is, it's like coming out of a cannon. I actually didn't test this before, but hey, I finished the
Holy
level.
cow. Dang.
Woo! How many 360s can I do here before I
Oh,
hit
geez.
the ground?
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
I
Oh, there
landed
you
on my
go.
head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's lots of fun. That is the sort of conveyor belt system that's kind of built into this sprite object,
Mm,
which could be like really neat if we were making a platformer game that had conveyor belts and you needed to move things on, or any like maybe you're you've fallen into a river and the river's like sweeping you along.
mm,
Um, there's all kinds of neat stuff that you can do with that. So it's like surface effector thing. That's what that is. Um, that was the big thing there. There's also a couple of sound effects that play, which I guess if I unmute this, you guys actually should be able to hear this. So I'm going along, and then if I land on my head, did you hear that little jingle? It's a little
mm-mm.
quiet.
I didn't hear anything.
No? Okay, well, uh, let's see here. Can I adjust the crack? Oh, no, actually, it is set to the volume for the audio source.
I liked how the character's eyes is like it's wall-eyed. It's like looking at
Yeah,
two different
right.
directions.
Yeah, I know. I love it. Yeah, they provided this asset.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, trust me, there is some audio. It's a little bit quiet.
Sure.
I can hear it, but
Sure. Sure.
so that's in there. Some more stuff with sprites. We didn't really do anything too interesting with sprites here. Really, that the like terrain editor was really the cool thing. Um, in the player controller, oh yeah, the surface effector thing was in there. Oh yeah, adding the particle system was kind of neat because you'll notice that when the
It's
player
like
is
snow behind
on
it,
the
right?
ground, yeah, you're getting this sort of like these
Yeah.
snow dust particles spitting up behind him, and then when he's in the air, that stops, and then also when he hits his head,
Crashes, yeah.
yeah. So we created like particle systems to do those, and then there is code like in here in this dust trail. Uh, actually, no. Why is that? Oh, I think I did this somewhere else. Yeah, I think I just did this in here. On collision industrial effects. Yeah, so these pieces of code right here are basically just like turning on that effect when the player is colliding. So there's in Unity there's these like built-in methods, which you can see one right here called on collision enter 2D, which basically is just a function that Unity comes built with. Like I didn't have to write this function, and what it does is it will detect whenever this game object collides with something else, it
Mm.
enters a collision, and then when when that object separates from the thing that it was colliding with, it exits the collision. So what I basically all you have to do is just say like, well, when you enter the collision, let's play that dust particle effects.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then when you exit the collision, let's just take that particle effect and stop it.
Right.
Um, so that's kind of how that works.
That's cool.
Um, so yeah, so that was actually surprisingly simple and a neat little component to add to that. So yeah, that was the snowboard game. Any
Nice.
questions or comments on that one before I move on to the next one?
Can you make like a really steep hill? I just want to see how
Yeah, you
how fun
like
it
you want
will
to
be.
see him going up the hill
Like
like a
go
steep.
up and then go all the way down. Make like a really steep uh turn. I just want to play with it. Yeah.
Okay. Let me delete that one. We'll make it so steep it's actually
Oh.
inverted.
Oh, dang, dude. Oh, dang.
Oh, I gotta zoom in up here though, because otherwise this is gonna do some wacky stuff with.
Yeah, you gotta bevel it. Yeah, there you go. Smooth it out.
All right, that
Cool.
looks sufficiently ridiculous. Let me switch to smoother video to play this.
Yeah.
So hang on one second. Share screen, screens,
Thank
smoother
you for
video.
entertaining me, man. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. This is what it's all about. This is part of the fun. All right. And for now, we'll just do regular speed, and then we'll see what happens when we
Ah,
put the like
ah.
boost speed really high. So he's going
He's
along.
going. He's going. He's going.
Da, 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 da. He's having a good time cutting up the powder. Like, oh man, what's going on here? Holy, like,
Oh
oh crap!
no,
I
no,
can't.
no.
I don't think I can make it up there.
Oh, go, go.
I can't.
No,
Ah,
no. Ah,
ooh, nope.
oh
Ah,
no.
this is too hard. Okay, I think I need to
We need more
dial this
power,
back a
Captain.
little bit. Maybe like about there. Let's see here. And then the player, like I didn't mention this, but I actually have a little boost where like if I hold down on the keyboard, I can actually go faster. You see
Oh,
that little like
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
boost of
Acceleration.
movement there?
Yeah.
Like, vroom. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh
Go,
yeah.
go, 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 go.
Come on, baby. You got
Oh
this.
God,
Oh, there we go.
go. Yeah.
Woo! Oh,
Oh
I
my
can't even
God.
touch it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Good job, man.
that was fun. All right, now let's
That's
do
cool.
something a little wacky here. Let's go to the border and then so in yeah, and because you're in smoother, this might be a little bit blurry, but I basically have two variables I can adjust here, and that is my base speed, which is just
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
how fast the border's going, and the boost speed, which is how fast he goes when I hit down. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
put that up to 10
Oh.
times the
Oh,
amount,
jeez.
and then I'm
Holy
gonna
cow.
hit it as soon as we get on that like big steep incline. We'll see what happens.
Nice. This
Oh
is
man,
cool. This is
video games are
cool.
fun. Here we go.
Ugh. Go, 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 go,
Straight
go,
to the
go,
moon.
go. Boom. That
Whoa!
is awesome.
Shoom, shoom, shoom.
Oh geez. Oh geez.
Uh,
Holy cow. You're
oh my, wow, I went way up
uh
there.
yeah. Oh, 300 is oh
Oh,
oh
oh,
oh oh
I
oh.
almost landed it.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool. Holy cow.
Oh, he crashed into it.
T-
Oh, that was great.
That's
Shoom.
whoa. Whoa, there you go.
Skipped. Oh,
Whoa.
well, now we're gonna be up in the air for a while.
Yeah.
Wait, if I just
Uh
do this.
Totoro says, "Wee." That's awesome. Oh,
Oh
there you
man,
go.
I landed
Oh,
almost at
nice.
the top.
Wow.
Woo!
Whoa. Jeez.
Oh man, it's great.
Oh, geez.
Um,
This
oh,
this 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 reminds me of a really old game. It's called Excite. It's like the bike game, right? It's like
oh yeah.
motorized bike. Yeah.
hmm I
Yeah.
think I may have fallen off the map here.
Yeah, yeah, I
Just
think you may
loading
have too.
space. But one, sorry. Anyway, Excite Bike or Excite.
Yeah, yeah. It might be named that. I'm not sure anymore. Whoa, whoa.
Oh, I can't. There we go.
Nice.
One other thing that you may notice about this is we're actually using a slightly different camera system than the one we were looking at last time, because you can see that the player is actually moving off center of the camera, right? So like here, he's kind of up in the top left. Now he's moving into the middle. Then there were times when I was like,
Oh,
not
geez.
right there, like way off on the far side.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and that's because the camera that we're using here is actually a Cinemachine camera,
Oh,
and that camera it has some like built-in functionality where it gives a little bit of breathing room and acts like a natural camera, to where like if the object will it show me that information? No, I guess it doesn't. Um, but anyway, if the subject that the camera is looking at, moves a little bit fast, then maybe the camera, you know, doesn't stay perfectly aligned with it, and the subject will kind of like move a little bit ahead of the camera, so the camera has to adjust to catch up. So it kind of does things like that automatically to create this sort of like natural feeling that you can see as the sort of player moves up and down and forward, and
Yeah,
so the
that's
camera's
cool.
trying to center, but it's not so aggressive that it's just locked on like it was in the driving game,
Right.
which
This
is
is
kind of
more
cool.
dynamic.
hmm Yep. And you can
Go.
adjust it too. One of the things that we adjusted here was we kind of moved the camera such that it prioritizes a little bit more space out in front of the player.
hmm
That way you can kind of see the obstacles that are coming towards you,
Right.
as opposed to having it like dead center, just slightly. Yoom. And that's the snowboarder game.
Cool. It was very simple, but it's a lot of fun. Brought a lot of entertainment value. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yep, I thought that one was a lot of fun too. And there's some cool things to learn. So let me close that. I'm going to switch again to better text readability, because the next game, it's really important to see the screen, uh, and this is a game that you at home get to play, because this is it's a quiz game. So we're going to do like this quiz where I've only programmed in 5 questions, so there's not that much, but they're video game related questions, and specifically for the Nintendo 64. So if you want to play at home, what we can do is, when I get this game started, you're going to be presented with a question, and you're going to have four. It's a multiple choice question, so you'll have four answers, and then we can play. Chris and chat, you guys can come together with a consensus, pick the answer that you think is right. I'll put it in, and we'll see how you do.
Ooh.
So if
Okay.
that
Okay.
sounds like a plan, I can show you the quiz game.
Man, you did a lot of games this week. Jeez.
Yeah, I was
Holy
really
cow.
on it. Some of them, like the snowboard game and the driving game, were pretty simple because they were like the first couple games, and because I had done so much of the 3D, all of the 3D course already, a
Uh-huh.
lot of the like, here's what a game object is, but like I already
Right.
kind of knew all of that stuff.
Right.
This one though, really like took a lot longer, was much harder, and I learned a lot because there's so much in here about HUD design and how all that works.
Sure.
Um, So yeah, so now we will go ahead and play Quiz Game 64. So anybody at home, if you've got your Nintendo 64, Quizmaster hat on, this one's for you. So here we
Oh
go.
God.
5
Oh
questions,
God.
Nintendo 64 related. They're kind of hard.
Oh
You
God.
yeah, if you didn't play a lot of N64, this might be tricky for you. But I'll give you some hints
I don't.
if we
I
need them.
never. I never had a N64. Oh
Oh
God.
no! You're gonna have to
Okay.
rely on the chat then,
All
Chris,
right.
and
All right.
me giving you hints. But bear
All
in
right.
mind, it's multiple choice. So you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right.
25. Yep. 25% chance.
All right, and there is a time limit. I think I've set the time limit to um, where is it?
All right.
Timer.
Totoro, heavy. Justice. Let me know. Help me, guys.
2.5 minutes to answer each question. Oh, and then time to review. Actually, I'm gonna set that to like 10 seconds. All right, here we go. Hopefully nothing's broken. Question number 1. Who is Joanna Dark's alien companion in Perfect Dark? Is it A, Jerry, B, Elvis, C, Glornak, or D, Specimen X47?
What the fuck? Uh.
This is like impossibly difficult. Yeah, you probably don't even know what Perfect Dark is or who Joanna Dark is.
No. No. Chat. Do you guys have anything at all? Anything at all, chat? Oh crap.
Admittedly, these are really hard questions. If you've played the games on N64, they should be pretty easy. But if you haven't, yeah, these are going to be tough. I
Totoro
apologize.
says. Totoro says B.
B, Elvis. Okay. Anybody else have a guess?
Uh, Joanna Dark's
We
alien
got
companion.
another like minute and some change here. And no cheating,
Um,
no Googling out there. I know you've got you could just type into Google, but
I mean,
flex
s-
your
s-
video game
s-
knowledge
s-
muscles.
specimen X47 makes the most sense because
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like, you know, very sci-fi-ish,
Uh-huh.
like alien related. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure it's something like, you know, dumb like Jerry or something. It's like
Uh-huh.
just, oh, it's Jerry, you know. Ah, all right,
Well,
we'll go
how
with,
confident is Totoro?
yeah, Totoro. How confident are you, man? Uh,
30 seconds.
all right, I'll go with Elvis too. I mean, you could. Oh, he says low.
Elvis?
Well, damn it, he says low. Uh,
All right, well,
I'm gonna
20
go with
seconds, Chris.
Jerry. I'm gonna go with Jerry.
Jerry? All right.
Yeah,
Final answer?
cause final answer.
Here we go.
Oh
And
God, it was
it
Elvis.
was Elvis.
Oh, oh no, sorry, Totoro. I should never have
Good
doubted
job, though.
you.
Like, that's amazing that you pulled that out of your hat. That's incredible.
Wow,
All
that's
right,
awesome,
next
Totoro.
question. What color inconsistency in Super Smash Bros. 64 made Luigi's character model look a bit unusual? Was it A, his hat was red, B, his shoes were black, C, his gloves were orange, or D, his overalls were purple?
Oh God. Totoro, let me know what you think. Uh, his shoes were black. His gloves were orange. His hat was red. No way, cause his hat can't be red because he has a green hat. Um, overall was it purple? No. Waluigi is purple, right? So it's either black or orange. No, orange? That's weird.
Well, bear in mind, this is a color inconsistency. So Luigi normally has
Oh,
a certain color profile, but in this game, there was something that was wrong.
okay. Uh, Totoro says B, black. His shoes were black. I'll go with that. His shoes were black. I don't want to doubt Totoro.
All right. Shoes were black. Final answer?
Final answer.
All right, here we go. And
Oh, what?
his
His
overalls
overall?
were purple,
His
which is a
overalls were
really
purple?
I yeah, I wish I had like an image in here, but yeah, it was a really weird thing where he had like purple overalls.
Oh,
And they're supposed to
weird.
be blue because they're denim. Like who has purple denim?
Sure, sure.
All right, this might be an easier one. Where does Star Fox 64 take place? Is it the Reach system? Or sorry, A, the Reach system, B, the Lilat system, C, the Hoth system, or D, the Andromeda system?
Okay, it's definitely not C. It's not Hoth because
You
that's in Star
sure?
Wars. I don't know. Uh,
You're not to discourage your thinking. I think you're on the right track there.
all right, good,
Trust your
good, good.
instincts.
All right, no Hoth. We're not gonna pick Hoth. Andromeda is a TV show starring Kevin Sorbo, I think. Um,
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Totoro says D, the Andromeda
D, the
system, huh?
Andromeda system.
Reach Laylat. Uh, oh God. Okay, sure. Let's go with D, Andromeda system.
D, Andromeda system. Final answer.
Final answer.
All right, here we go. I wish we had the dramatic music,
Yeah. Dun,
from
dun,
our
dun,
once-a-day
dun, dun,
millionaire. Here
dun,
we
dun.
go. And
Oh no, the Laylat system.
it's the Lilat system.
Oh, Lilac
Corneria,
system.
fourth planet of the Lilat system, or
Oh
however General
no.
Pepper says it. All right, for the Zelda fans out there, under what condition does Ruto give Link the Zora's Sapphire in Ocarina of Time? Is it A, Link must return it later, B, Link receives it as engagement to Ruto, C, Link pays 300 rupees for it, or D, Link must trade his horse for it?
Oh God, I don't know. I never played this. Ah.
Just to give
Must
you context, Chris, the Zora's Sapphire is this blue gem that Link needs to get. He needs to collect these like 3 gems in order to
Uh-huh.
like unlock the Temple of Time, which then lets him go fight the boss. So he's like collecting these gems and helping people to get them. So that's the context. We'll see if Totoro can bail you out here.
All right. Link must trade his horse for. Nah, Link must pay 300 rupees for it. Uh, as an engagement to Ruto. I'm
Oh, and
gonna go with.
Ruto,
Go ahead.
I was Ruto is so the Zoras are these like humanoid fish people. They Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to describe them. And so
All right.
yeah, so that's who Ruto is. She's the princess of the Zora people.
I'm gonna say, just a safe answer is just you gotta return it, cause I don't. If they're fish, I don't think they need a horse. I don't think they need money. I don't think he should be engaged. I don't know. I don't know the storyline, so I'm just gonna say the easier answer. Oh, and Totoro agrees with me. He said A too. So we both say A. Final answer. A.
Hey, final answer. Link must return it later. And
Oh God.
Link receives it as engagement. Like Ruto is completely infatuated with Link and says
Oh,
like,
interesting.
"Oh, my grandmother gave this gem to me and told me that I would give it to the man that I would marry." And so, you know, Link just wants the gem. He's like not interested in that nonsense. But
Right, right,
all
right.
right, final question. Here we go. This one is for all the marbles.
Jeez.
What year did Super Mario 64 come out? Is it A, 1994, B, 1995, C, 1996, or D, 1997? And I'm pretty
Oh
sure I
boy.
programmed this one correctly. I actually may be wrong. We'll have to look it up right after this.
Okay. Totoro, what do you think? I think it's 96 because when I started to hang when I went to hang out with my friend's place, I didn't really start going to people's homes and hanging out with them until I was in middle school. And when I was there, he was playing the James Bond game, GoldenEye, and that
Mm-hmm.
was like 97-ish. And so I'm sure it came out a year before that. So I'm gonna go with 96, and Totoro agrees with me. So final answer, 96, 1996.
All right, it's got the dramatic spotlights
Dun,
coming
dun,
down now.
dun, 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 dun.
And ding, 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 you
Oh, we
got
finally
it.
got one right. Oh my
Woo!
God,
Good
jeez.
job.
High
Yeah,
five,
man, and you
Totoro.
guys were so confident on that one. I love it.
Oh God. We did
Congratulations. You got a score of 20%.
we did so bad.
But
Oh man.
no, that was yeah. I knew this was going to be tough. But I didn't have. I was like, oh, maybe I can put something in there that's not quite so difficult. But I was like, this is a video game. Like we're doing a video game show, and I'm tired, and
You
this
sure?
comes easy to me to
Sure.
thinking about N64 stuff. So anyway, that's the quiz game that I
That's
got to
cool.
make, and now I can kind of walk you through some of the stuff that's going on in there.
Trivia is
Um,
always fun.
yeah,
Like it's so much fun. Good job, man.
yeah. If we enjoy that, maybe we can do this as sort of like a little after the design update thing. Like I'll come with some trivia questions uh, each week or something, and we can
Yeah.
I'll because it's really easy to program more stuff in here, which I can now show you. So things look a little bit jumbled here because I have both the end game screen and the like actual game
Sure.
screen on
Uh-huh.
at the same time. So I'm going to
Uh-huh.
turn off the game over screen or just hide it. So now you can see this is what the basic quiz canvas looks like. So everything in Unity for the HUD is they're all like set in these things called canvases, which is basically just the screen space. And it keeps track of all the different like buttons and text objects and images that are in it. So if I roll down the quiz canvas here, you can see we've got question text. So that's this text box that's right here, and that gets populated with the question. Right
Hmm.
now, it just says sample question goes here. But there's code that we can look at that actually sends the question into that while the game is running.
Cool.
But then we have other things in the quiz canvas, like here's the timer image. It's that little guy up there, which is set
Hmm.
to kind of what I was showing you earlier. We have the like it's a filled image and it's radial, and so
Yeah.
it decreases with the timer. Um, and then these are actual buttons, so when the player clicks on them, they respond. So actually,
Nice.
if I click on like answer button here, you can see over here on the right, you've got this little checkbox for interactable, which means when that's checked as true, that
Uh-huh.
button you can click it and it'll do something. And
Nice.
then that's what this piece of functionality responds to. It says like, okay, on click, what do you want me to do? And
Hmm.
then you tell it in here like, okay, basically what this is saying is in the quiz canvas script, which is this script over here, it's a script that I've written and we can look at in a second. There's a function called on answer selected. I want you to do that. And so then the button knows, okay, when somebody clicks me, I go look in this script and I do this thing. Bam.
Mm.
I was like, oh, that's
Mm.
cool. That's great because now I can program that functionality in there.
Yeah.
Another thing that's kind of interesting with this is this answer button group has this thing called vertical layout, which basically uh, it automatically adjusts the size and spacing of things. So like if I were to, you know, add another question in here, I'll just
Uh-huh.
duplicate answer button number 3, so we'll get answer button number 4. It added it in there, and it automatically spaced and sized
Oh,
everything to
cool.
accommodate that
Yeah.
fourth button. So then I could do
Nice.
another one. Like, okay, now there's 5 buttons in there.
Nice.
Um, yeah, which is so cool because otherwise it's a real pain in the butt having to like, we want to add another button. Let me resize
Right.
everything. Like, da, da, da. So it does it automatically, which is really cool.
Nice.
Um, and that was another thing that was kind of a neat carryover from my limited experience with iOS development is getting things to fit on an iPhone screen. They have a similar functionality that's like using these layout groups where
Hmm.
you can do horizontal ones, you can do vertical ones. So if you want things to be evenly distributed horizontally, they've got those. Um, anyway, so that's all the sort of stuff that you can kind of fit into a canvas. And whenever you want to
Nice.
make a sort of like HUD or a menu, the canvas is where you would go and you start putting stuff in
Mm.
there. Um,
Yeah, that makes
this,
life a lot easier when you want to add more content.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The slider thing is kind of cool. So this is the thing that I was kind of mentioning earlier when I was showing you the health bar that I had, and that there was another way to do it where you can have one that's got the sort of like the sort of grayed out background or the outline that can then be filled up. So, I can take this thing and fill it up or, decrease it.
Uh-huh.
And that's basically in fact, I can actually change this from whole numbers to partial numbers, and then you can actually fill it up. So we can actually just use something like this as a health bar. Pretty simple. I think, we can, with images, we can make things that are going to be a little more unique to our game. Um, but it is cool that there's a way to just like drop in a slider, which is just built into Unity. It's just like, you can see here it's called slider. It's easy as just saying like add component slider, and then you add that thing, and bam, bam, there it is. It's in there,
Right.
and then you can adjust it to make it. Uh, you can change things with it. So if you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, but I want it to look differently, I can come in here and I can go, let's change the background color. Like maybe I want that to be like a bright red and I don't
Oh,
want it to be
cool.
transparent, so I could do
Yeah.
that. And then the
Nice.
fill area, that one I want to change that color. Like maybe we want it to be a cool like orange color or something.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and now when we adjust it, it's like, there you go.
Uh,
Now it's got all those
yeah.
colors built
I
into
like the
it. And
red. It's like, oh God, you're running out of time. Oh,
yeah.
oh wait, that's
Oh
not the
no.
time. That's not the time. That's the progress of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
timer is this guy up
Is
here,
that
and then
one?
this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
is
yeah.
just how
Never mind.
many of the questions you've
Yeah,
answered.
there you go.
Um, okay, so that's that guy. That's the various canvases. So and this background canvas is real simple. It's just that the sort of brick background that you're seeing. Oh, you can see it down here. Like this is
Hmm.
the image that's getting populated back there. It's just a place for it to, uh, exist.
Yeah.
And then these things exist on different, they're not really layers, but they're sort of like orders. So if you see over here on the far right, it says sort order 0. And then if I click on the quiz canvas, that one's actually sort order 1. Game over canvas is sort order 2. The higher that number, the the closer to the top of the stack that thing is. So like
Hmm.
a sort order of 100 is going to be at the very top. You're going to see it all the time. Like everything else is going to be beneath it. Something that's
Mm.
0 or like negative is going to be at the bottom of that stack. So everything else is it's going to be buried underneath everything else. Um,
Nice.
so that's kind of the way the sort of like layering system works. And then a couple of these game objects only exist to have a script attached to them. So this like scorekeeper thing has a scorekeeper script that, we'll take a look at the code in a second. But it doesn't actually exist in the game world. I mean, it has a transform, but it's just at 0 and doesn't have anything else attached to it except that script. Same thing with
Hmm.
this game manager. And what was really kind of like crazy about the game manager one is I guess this script name game manager is like a protected keyword name or something, because when you create that script, you instead of getting the normal script icon, you get this little like gear symbol. Because it's so common in games to have a script that is the game manager, that's sort of like the brains of the game, and it's keeping track of like, oh, okay, is the game still running? Is the
Mm.
player out of time? Let me switch to this thing. It's sort of like the when the other parts of the game need to go ask the adult in the room like, hey, what should I be doing right now? That's the component that tells them. um the big thing that it was like a huge takeaway for me in this one was scriptable objects, which are these things. You can see here in my assets, I've got this questions folder, and there are all these assets in here with this interesting little icon that's like a little blue cube with a red bracket next to it.
Right.
Um, this is a type of script that uh, is a little bit different than a typical C sharp script. So this is like a usual C sharp script. Um, and actually, I'm going to open this in Visual Studio Code because I think it's a little bit easier to read things in here when it's all color coordinated. But a typical C sharp script looks like this, where you've got all these things up at the top, which basically it's just importing code that the Unity developers have already made for you. And then down here, this is sort of like this particular class, like this is where this script's unique functions exist. So for this one, it's called the end screen. And so everything here, this is all code that I've written for the end screens functionality. So like, um, when the game is over, it says like it changes the final score text to say like, oh, congratulations, you got a score of, and then it,
Right.
calculates what the score is and then puts that in there. But there are also these things called scriptable objects, which you do. Oh, I guess it's this actually, um, which are a little bit different. So back in the end screen thing, you can see it's called public class end screen, and then colon mono behavior, and this is my novice computer programmer understanding coming into play here. Whenever you do this sort of like, at least in C sharp, this colon and then something else after this, you're basically saying that we're making a class here that inherits from the superclass mono behavior. So mono behavior is something that's like built into Unity. Every game object that you create is built off of mono behavior, but not scriptable objects. Because if we come in here, you'll see that it's colon scriptable object and not mono behavior, which means it works differently and you have access to it in a way that the other game objects don't. It's kind of like a script that's accessible to different objects, even though it's not necessarily attached to any object. Um, which now I'm kind of getting a little bit far into the weeds. But for anybody out there who's like a Unity developer, scriptable objects are actually really cool, and it solves this problem that I had a couple of weeks ago. If you remember, there was a conversation that, or problem I ran into where I was like, man, wouldn't it be great, or like, I wonder if there's a way in Unity to write some code that's just floating out in in the game that's not like attached to something that I then have to go and dig in there and say like, give me that piece. Like if there's just this thing that the whole game had access to, that would be great. Bam, that's what a scriptable object can do.
Mm,
Like you can just have this chunk of code that's not attached to like, the player object or
sure.
attached to the drone or attached to the camera. It's just code that all of those other things can go like, oh yeah, I can just go into that code and get this thing that I need. And the cool thing about the way that
Nice.
it works in the way we used it in this game is it almost creates like a brand new type of object. So uh, whenever you're creating new assets, you can click on this little plus here, and you can click on like, okay, I want to create a new folder, or I want to create a new C# script, or maybe I'm making a 2D thing. Like let me create a new sprite. I'll create a little square or a little circle or something. Um, but what you can do with the question SO, so like this question SO script that basically created a scriptable object, we also, actually, let me switch back here. It's just a little bit easier to read. What we also did is this piece of code right here, create asset menu, quiz question, which basically means now when I go here and click on this, at the very top here, you can see like, ooh, quiz question. It allows you to
Mm,
create an asset in the menu that then I can click on this and bam, it
oh,
creates
cool.
an object of question type. And so if I move this back up here into my questions folder, you'll see that like this question, if I click on it here and then look in the inspector, you've got uh, a spot for your question. You've got a spot for the elements, for the answers. Each one is, answer 0, answer 1, 2, 3, and then the correct answer. So
Is
in this case, the one that you
zero
guys got
two.
right, 1996 is the correct answer, so the correct
Ah,
answer should be at 2. But if it
got
was
it.
1997, then I can adjust this to 3.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
the new question, if I click on that, you've just got a blank one. So you can enter
Yeah,
your new
yeah,
question here. And then
yeah.
so in other words, if we want to keep playing this game, it would be really easy for me to add new questions each week because of this handy script right here, which
Nice.
allows me to put in questions and answers.
That's awesome.
And yeah, without I feel like I've gone on a little bit too long on this one, but there was a lot to learn here in terms of getting the different pieces of code to like talk to each other. I learned a ton, and as you can see, like the gains from the HUD, from the on-screen
Mm.
stuff,
Mhm.
were
Mhm.
huge. So I was
Mhm.
able
Mhm.
to carry over this loading bar was the thing that made me go, aha, I can put that into our game. That,
Yeah.
here it's used as a progress bar, but I could use that as our health bar. Um, so yeah, so there you go.
Well, that's awesome.
The
Did
quiz
did
game.
you did you get the radio thing from this tutorial too?
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
Nice. Like the timer? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that is about it. At least I think that's the high level cool stuff worth talking
Mm.
about. Unless there's any questions or comments, Chris, from you or from the chat, if anybody wants to see anything else. Um,
No, for me, I would say good job, man. I
Thanks.
it seems like, I mean, when you're looking at this, it's like, oh yeah, get a quiz game 64, you have some question and four buttons, but
Seems
you
so
don't
simple.
really seems so simple, and yet you don't really actually know how it's or for me, I don't know how it's programmed. I don't know how it's done. I don't know the scripts and the mono behaviors or whatever. It's there you go, mono behavior. All that stuff. It's insane, man. And I appreciate you sharing this with us. Because I for the life of me will not be able to do this. My mind and brain does not function this way. So I'm very, very appreciative that I am on your team, that that you can appreciate and learn all this stuff. So thank you, Michael, for doing all this tutorial stuff. Because for me, if I watch it, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't get it. This is so hard. But you understand. So I have you to stand on for this programming part.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My pleasure, man. Like I love this stuff. And I'm happy to be contributing to the team in this way.
Mm-mm-mm.
Um, so yeah, I'll keep at it and hopefully keep learning cool new programming tricks that I can bring into our game and make it better.
And Totoro says, I learned a lot. I appreciate the variety. Glad to have a front row seat.
Yeah, we're glad to have you in the front row, Totoro.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so that does it for my update this week. Um, Thank you for joining me. Thank you for entertaining all of my rants about uh, gaming and also for putting up with the very brutally difficult N64 quiz questions. I'll try to pick some. I'll do different topics next time. I'll try to pick something maybe a little bit more um, that I'm more confident that you guys would know. I had thought about like maybe I should do like Battlestar Galactica quiz,
Oh.
but I don't know anything about Battlestar Galactica, so they may be
Yeah.
terrible questions, but I can try.
Or Totoro says movies, like
Oh
movie
yeah, we
trivia.
could do
Movie
movies.
movie trivia is a huge thing. Everyone on the internet and the Twitch streams are doing like movie trivias, game trivias. Totoro says Firefly. I've never seen Firefly. Have you seen
Mm,
Firefly?
I've
I
seen
know
a
it's a
couple
huge
episodes.
it's a
Yeah, it's
huge
a
thing. Yeah.
huge cult following. People
Yeah.
love that show. Um, yeah, I've seen a couple episodes. It's pretty good. I think to be part of the cult following, you kind of had to be there at the time that it was its thing. Because I kind
Uh
of came to it much, much later, where I
uh
heard like, man, what is this Firefly thing that all these people keep talking about? And I watched it and was like, oh, okay. It's I don't think it's bad in any way. It's just it's one of those shows that's like I think so many things after it borrowed the things that it did brilliantly and just incorporated it, and then
mhm.
that those things kind of became mainstream. That then going back and looking at it, it's like, oh, I mean, it's good, but it's also kind of like low budget, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot here that I haven't seen before. Kind of like
Mhm.
there's this story that I heard from one of my friends about the original Alien movie when that came out. The Ridley Scott 1970, I don't know. What year did that come out? 71, 74,
Ah, it's a good
75?
trivia question.
It is a good trivia question. I'm going to say
Yeah.
75 because I think it was just before Star Wars. Um, but anyway, the original Alien, my friend who is older than I am was like, he actually went to go see it in the theater, and said that that movie was so terrifying that people
Uh-huh.
were like hiding behind their seats. They
Whoa.
were crawling through the aisles of the movie theater to get out of the theater. They were so
Oh my
terrified
God.
because up to that point, movies had never been that scary. Like nobody had ever used the medium of cinema to do something like that. And so it
What
was
what
this
about what
new
about the
thing.
what about The Exorcist? I watched a documentary on The Exorcist. People were like freaking the frack out about that as well.
Yeah, same thing. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people were like, "Is this real?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So there was this period of time in cinema in the '70s when movies like The Exorcist and Alien and
Mhm.
Jaws,
Mhm.
which for
Mhm.
sure came out in 1975, I think. When these movies were coming out, like nobody had ever seen anything like that before. Nobody had ever
Mhm.
made a movie like that before. Um, and but by today's standards, you go and watch those movies, they're kind of boring. They're kind of tame. Like
Mm.
I think they're
Yeah.
all excellent movies still, but
Right.
they're not like so, like hair on the back of your neck raising, terrifying, like, oh my God, I'm traumatized. But it
Yeah.
was like that when those movies first came out. But it's because every movie since then is like, oh, that's how you do horror. That's how you scare people.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
took those things and then they became tropes and then they adapted them and continued to iterate and improve them to the point where, like, now, scary movies, uh, they know all the tricks. So
All right.
those things are just so built into the culture. But anyway, I'm way off the range here, rambling. Uh, so yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Firefly.
Aliens, Totoro says came out in 1980. If he typed in
The
1980, I think that's what he was.
Aliens, plural, the James Cameron one.
I don't know. He said 1980. I'm not really sure which. It was to a movie that we were asking when did it come out. Oh, he said actually 79.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Alien was
Alien
79. Wow. Okay.
79. Yeah.
Man, I was way off on that one.
But yeah, going back to Firefly, I think the actress, her name is Summer Glau, isn't she
Oh
in
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I know of her because she's so pretty. Like I saw her once, like on not in person, but just on what's that show? I saw her on as a guest appearance, and they're like freaking out about it. They're like, "Oh my God, that's Summer Glau from Firefly." I'm like, "Oh, that she's really pretty." But yeah,
Yeah, she's a
like
cutie for
yeah,
sure.
you know me. If there's a cute girl in any
You're
shows,
there.
I'm there. But that's not true. There are plenty of shows out there with pretty girls that oh man, it's hard to get like really good shows nowadays. I mean, there are a ton of shows on Amazon Prime, Netflix, blah blah blah, but there are only a handful of ones that's like really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Like the Peacemaker, that one was really good. I totally enjoyed that. The Harley Quinn animated series, that's like so much fun to watch. Season 3 is coming out in July 27th, I believe.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
the
soon.
tra yeah, the trailer's coming out. I'm very excited for that one. Harley and Poison Ivy got together, and it was a really cute relationship, romance.
Oh,
I was sh- I was shipping them. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I love talking about movies, and hopefully one day we could talk more about Battlestar Galactica and all the space like Star Wars and anything like that. Oh, Dr. Pecker is here. Hey, he says I'm waiting for the new season of Invincible
Invincible.
to Invincible to come out. New
I don't
season
know
of
what
the
that is.
Invincible. I never even heard of that. What? First of all, how are you doing, Dr. Pecker? Hopefully you're doing well.
Welcome.
Yeah, but season of Invincible, is that on Netflix or HBO Max? I haven't even heard
I
of
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll definitely have to do a little research and take a look. But yes, one day, man. Besides video games, Michael, I definitely want us to talk more about like storytellings or movies or stuff stuff that's the entertainment industry, what they're doing, like the Overwatch, what they're doing, and just
Mm,
educate ourselves, or more or less educate me, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and that's how I get my entertainment news, and hopefully we could just talk not only about video games, but we could talk about that as well. Dr. Pecker says it's an American anime type thing with kind of off-brand superheroes. It's on Amazon.
on Amazon. Cool.
Yes, it's very
Now you know what
violent.
it is? Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Cool.
It's super violent, and it's supposed to be really good. Everyone really liked it. It's gory, but yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
I
I'll give
still
it a watch.
yeah, I still need to watch that. Yeah. I still need to watch The Boys. Have you seen The Boys at all, Michael?
No, but it's been on my radar for a while. People seem to
Oh,
be pretty into it.
yeah, I watched the first season. I still haven't watched the second season yet, but I need to the third season is already out, and I think it's releasing one episode each week, I think. I don't think
Hmm.
it's done yet. But yeah, The Boys, hands down, like one of the best series ever. Super violent, gory. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if you like that kind of stuff, Michael, but for me, I love it. Like the first episode is like, holy shit, I can't believe they did that. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, it's really really good, and that's what I've heard as well. Dr. Pecker, the Invincible. Yeah, I heard that's really good. I need to watch that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I'll check out both of those because I normally don't have Amazon Prime, but Amazon is like so insistent on like pushing Amazon Prime that
Mm.
every I don't know, couple of weeks, couple months or something like that, they just say like, you know what, just try it. We're gonna give you 30 days for free, and then after that we'll start billing you. But in the meantime, just give it a shot. So then I'm like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, sure. And then I do Amazon Prime for a month, and then I cancel it, and then they pester me a bunch more, and then like 2 months
Right.
later they're like, okay, here, try another 30-day free trial. So I
Yeah.
got one. So
Oh, good.
I'll
Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll try to watch it in the meantime. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like right now it's crazy because there are just so many shows. Like there's just
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
much content. It's
Mhm.
really hard to
Mhm.
keep up with all of it.
Yeah.
'Cause, and there's a lot of it that's really good.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I'm pretty out of the loop with a lot of shows just because
Yeah.
trying to make a video game
Yeah, no,
it's
exactly,
really
dude.
hard.
I know exactly what you're talking about because one of the reasons why I haven't watched The Boys or anything because I just feel guilty sitting in front of the TV consuming stuff and not producing. I feel guilty, and I know that's not a good thing, but I know you and I are on a tight deadline, and so if I'm not working, I feel like a hole. So I gotta keep working, but yeah, and plus I know it's not going anywhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's still gonna be on there when it's done, so I'm okay. And for me, spoilers is not a huge thing. I never get mad when I find out like a certain thing happens. For example, like the Marvel film Doctor Strange
Oh yeah.
Multiverse of Madness. I haven't
Uh-huh.
seen that yet, and I've
Me either.
already seen like whole bunch of spoiler clips
Yeah,
on
me
Facebook.
too.
I'm just like
Hmm.
scrolling. I'm just like, oh, geez, But that's not gonna make me go, oh, I'm not gonna watch it anymore, or I'm mad. But I'm just like, oh, that wow, that happened. Oh, these characters are in there. Oh, I had no idea. That's too bad I got spoiled. But that just comes with it. If you're not
Yeah.
with it, if you're not you know with the times, then you kind of
Hmm.
get left dragged behind, and that's the price of it. But I have I
Yeah.
have I have a higher purpose right now is to create our video game and get stuff
We're making
done.
content with our own spoilers.
Exactly, exactly. And plus, oh, by the way, quick thing, my pins from my previous Kickstarter came in. So yeah, I'm gonna have to like
Sweet.
unpack it and mail all the rewards out. So I'll be busy with that for tomorrow, and then the next 3 days I'm gonna be doing the scene three assets. So
Cool.
I'll make sure to look at the list that we made a few weeks back. Like we remember we broke it down. Like, oh,
Hmm.
here's all the scene one and two assets and two, three, four, five. I'm gonna look at
Hmm.
that and see if I could tackle some the most important assets. For example, obviously the planet itself or the asteroid itself is going to be really really important because that's the thing that we're going to be flying through. And then some other rocks and little buildings, refinery buildings that we said we wanted. I'll take a
Sure.
look at it again at the list. So that's what I'll be working towards for Sunday. Dr. Pecker says the first two episodes or so is kind of slow, but it gets really good after that. Like I was surprised how much blood and violence was in it. Yeah. Pecker also says I've got to say that Doctor Strange movie wasn't the best. Oh, that's
That's
not good.
yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. Totoro says kudos on the pins, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Yeah.
Totoro. Really appreciate that. And really, if any future uh Kickstarter backers ever watch our videos, watch this video. Just want to say thank you so much for the support. I wouldn't be able to make the pins without you guys. So thank you so much for supporting my artwork. And really quick, I after I mail these pins out, I will start to I will launch the Kickstarter for my tarot cards. So that's going to be
Hell
going
yeah.
on from the months of July to the mid August. So it's going to run about like 30-ish days. Yeah. So so. That's what I'll be working on instead of watching, TV. And trust me, I want to watch everything, man. I feel so bad, like I feel left behind. All I've been
Mhm.
watching is like whenever I'm working, I'm watching YouTube streams or Twitch streams, I try to help others out, like whenever, any of my friends are streaming, I always like lurk. Even though I don't say anything, I just
Mm, mhm,
put it
mhm.
on the background so that, they get an extra person who's, watching them. So I know that means a lot to me when people do that for me. So I try to do that for them too.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but that's what I'll be working on, Michael, for the next 4 days. I'll be packing up Kickstarter stuff as well as working on Scene 3 assets. But
Mhm.
more important, I need to give you the Scene 4 assets in Unity so I could give it to you and you can start playing with
Yeah,
that
please.
with those stuff. Yeah. And
For
I'll
sure.
make sure to let the viewers for you guys see what I did with the assets. It's very rudimentary, very elementary in that they're just shapes. And I textured it, and if we were to launch the game, technically it could work because we have something to look at and something used to build the environment. But then after we prove that it works, or we prove that it works, but after we actually set the stage up, then we'll start to add more elements in there. Just as long as we have the base, then we could start building on top of the base and then get more stuff, and then polish it more and more.
Totally.
Yeah. Um, that's all. Hold on. Totoro says, "Could you read my tarot cards on your stream, Chris?" Uh, that is the only reward I ask for. uh, Unfortunately, I know nothing about tarot. Totoros. Unfortunately, if I read your cards, I would have to shuffle it for you. I would have to pick it for you, and I would have to like. Once I see what the card is, I would have to Google it to see actually what it
What
means.
does this mean?
Yeah,
And
what
don't they
does
mean different things when they're like with relation to each other? So like one card means something, but if it's paired with another card, then it means something else. Like I don't know anything about tarot cards, but maybe.
Possibly, and I know for a fact that if you get it
Oh, face up or
face
like
up
right
or
side up
right side
or
up,
upside
it
down.
means totally different than if it's actually upside down. So that I know that has a big meaning. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, Michael, what you say about the combination of how it reads, the cards that comes out, then yeah, very possible.
You get the like,
Again,
oh, great fortune card, yay! And then the next one's
yay,
like, oh, extreme
death.
loss, which means you
Yeah, it's like
lose. Oh
yeah,
no!
yeah. It's like, oh my goodness, yeah. So that, yeah. Sorry, Totoro. uh, oh, he says
He's just
pretend.
pretend. I'll never know.
Well, one of us will know, and I would feel bad giving you a bad reading. Yeah, yeah. Uh, but yeah, Michael, do you have anything to add on your end?
I don't think so. My homework, I'm gonna continue, working on these various tutorials. Hopefully, bring in importing stuff into the games, and as I find cool stuff, I'll share that with you guys. But otherwise, for next week, look forward to seeing, hopefully, a draft version of one of the levels. Possibly scene 4. Since once you send me those assets, I'm really eager to start playing with those and see what
Mm-hmm.
those do. Um, Otherwise, scene 1/2.
Mm,
So
very cool.
I'm targeting
Very
one
cool.
of those two. Hopefully, I'll have a draft something or other to share with you
Nice.
guys, and we'll do another quiz.
Nice. That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. All right. I have nothing else left to share. Do we maybe we could do a Q&A really quick. If you guys have anything you guys want to ask
Sure.
us, feel free to ask us, and then 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 that's good. Oh,
Yeah, if you have
internet
any
issues.
questions about the theme park industry or creative projects, if you need a little creative encouragement or pep talk, we could do that. If you want to have any questions about the video game, um, or just random things. Uh, while the chat is thinking about potential questions, I have a question for you, Chris. How
Yeah.
is the Kickstarter for the tarot cards coming along? Because I know you had done a lot of work
Hmm.
and you were kind of, doing some
Yeah.
revisions and edits.
Yeah. I did take your advice, and I did do like a whole revised video. what I tried to do was I tried to take the iPhone camera and do like a panning thingy. But one
Uh-huh.
thing that I realized when I was doing that, I don't have any device that stabilizes it. So what I'm
Mm,
doing, I have like whole bunch of axis like just tumbling like
yeah.
it
Oh
because
no.
I try to do this right, but
Mm-hmm.
my left hand like does something like this. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
crap. So I ended up not taking videos of the product, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially what I did was I just took photos of it and then I put it in a DaVinci Resolve, and then I just did like um the
Oh.
photo like
Mm-hmm.
enlarging and then
Yeah,
moving,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Cool.
That's what I
That's
did.
great.
And I can actually show you. Oh, if you give me 1 second, I could actually pull it up. Um,
Sure.
let me see, let me see, let me see. Sorry. It might take a little bit of while. And boop, there you go. And what I have to do is
Dr. Pecker says, I wish I was here before. LOL. I'll do better for next time. Hey, no worries, man. We're happy to
yeah,
have you.
no worries at all.
Also, how
So
is the setup going for your streaming at Michael? Not great. Mostly because we've had a couple of conversations, and we had a realization, Chris and I, a couple of weeks ago that, hey, if we want to release the beta for this game in like September, there actually isn't a whole lot of Wednesdays and Sundays between now and then. We really need to get our act together and focus on the game. And when I looked at my schedule, I realized there really wasn't a whole lot of room for me to do the like 20 things I was trying to do. And so I said, okay, all of that stuff I'm going to put on the shelf and I'm just going to focus on the game. I'm going to focus on completing these tutorials and doing the game. So right now, I've kind of put my streaming on hold while I'm doing that. I still plan to do it, and I still plan to do like the Michael Crichton Book Club and various things like that. But for now, streaming is kind of on hold. Maybe in September or October, I'm gonna look back into ramping up on that. But right now, the rail shooter is my primary focus.
mm,
But thank you for asking.
yeah, and I can't wait for you to get all the your book stuff done, Michael. I think that's like so important. But yeah, I respect your decision. Let's finish the game up, and then we could you could get your book out ASAP. All right. Hopefully this works. Um, I don't know if you guys, Michael, I definitely know you probably won't hear the music, but just imagine mythical, music going on.
You bet.
All right. So so what I did was
Cool.
I initially basically showed the sketch of the
Hmm.
process of how I created the cards, and I did it really quickly too. And I again like from a quick sketch to this and then to this,
Totally. Yeah, that's great.
I didn't want it to like dawdle too much on the sketching part. I just
Hmm.
wanted to give the viewers to see like, oh yeah, he actually painted this, and this is what it looks like from
Oh, that's
illustration
so
to
good.
into a card, and then and again, remember how I said I sucked with holding the camera? I just basically took it and then just you know panned it up and then zoom in, and that's what I did,
This
just to
is
show
great,
like.
dude.
And this is all because of your feedback. I really appreciate your feedback. So I thank you so much
Yeah, my
for it,
pleasure.
man. So yeah, it just basically shows like the different Arcana cards, and uh, and also I did a little bit of unboxing as well. I've also created a version for the Instagram because I do planning on doing a Instagram ad to just showcase my work to the tarot card community. And there's a huge
Hmm.
tarot card community, so I'm hoping that they can support this as well. And this is just the unboxing of the cards. You've seen this already, and it's just me
Hmm.
unboxing it and just showing it one by one. And if the people don't want to continue watching, uh, at least they know exactly what they're going for. So if they want to keep watching, they can keep watching. If they want to turn it off and then scroll down to look
Mm,
at
hmm. Hmm.
the Kickstarter, then they're most welcome to do that. Um,
There you go.
but yeah, these
Cool.
are
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
I can't wait to get these made. Ah,
Yeah. This is awesome, man.
but yeah, no, thank you again so much for the feedback. And even though
Sure.
I sucked at at trying to, do exactly what you suggested, but having the photos just to showcase like, zooming in and out of these
Oh,
photos
yeah.
is
It it looks awesome. It's very
yeah,
professional.
it's better than what I had before. So I really appreciate you giving that comment. So yeah,
Sure.
so thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I can imagine hard to get those like nice, smooth, sweeping camera shots
Oh
if you
God,
don't have what do they call it? Is it
the gimbal
a
or
gimbal?
yeah or something, right?
Yeah, which
So
like attaches to the camera and then you
hmm
can
hmm
move it all around and the camera just stays right there. Like they're really cool, but
yeah,
they're crazy expensive.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's been a long time since I looked into it, but they're like hundreds of dollars.
yeah. And I don't do enough videography to invest in something like that,
Sure.
right? So I just do the next best thing. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
this is
think it's
what it looks like
fantastic.
for now.
Cool, man. I can't wait for you to launch this too. Like I think it's gonna do
Yeah,
really well.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Oh, that's about it. Yeah, it took a while to get all this made. Ugh.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's definitely worth it. It was a lot of
Hmm.
fun. I never expected myself doing this kind of Kickstarter, uh, these Kickstarter campaigns at all. Is fun.
Hmm.
Totoro says very rich. Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, man. And Dr. Pecker says this is very cool. You should get a side gig as a video or photographer. I actually did a little bit of photography back in the days, a long time ago, and I totally enjoyed doing photography, uh, especially portraits. I respect to those people who do like landscapes and product photos, which I think it would definitely come handy now, but I never really got into like product or landscapes. What I really liked is, taking photos of people. I've taken photos of you, Michael, right? And it's so much fun taking photos of you, taking photos of our friends, taking photos of models. Um, yeah, I love to capture the energy and emotions of people. It's on another level in my opinion. But again, not to say, landscape and taking photos of animals and taking photos of animals that takes so much patience and you got to get the lighting right, wait, the right motion, the right lighting, yeah, everything has an art in itself. But for me, I love people. People is what I like the best. Characters, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of, even though I'm good at environments, like drawing environments, I want to get I want to get good at drawing people because people is actually the center focal point of everything. We as humans, we are, we're very important. Yeah, that sounds really bad, but and conceited, but but
We
we
think
are.
we're really
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
So to us,
exactly.
we are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, even though we only live like average of, 80 plus years, and then we vanish off the face of the earth, and this kind of reminds me of Battlestar Galactica, one of the Cylons, robots, says that you humans, everything that you guys do, you accumulate, you learn, you get obtain all this knowledge and skills, and then all of a sudden you guys die, and that's it. All that skill necessary for you to live and to develop technology, it's gone forever. But if you're a Cylon, your consciousness gets downloaded to another body once this body is damaged. So I'm like, holy cow, that is awesome. So I'm just thinking like maybe one day, our consciousness can be downloaded to, another, body that so we could live forever and carry on the skills and knowledge necessary. But I'm sure there's like a downside to that, like overpopulation and or dominations, or I don't know, but
Well, I
yeah.
mean, I don't think overpopulation is going to be a problem. In fact, I think we're probably going to have a population collapse problem in the future, which is,
Really?
yeah, because
Wow.
so many, like, as countries become more advanced and developed, the fertility rate drops. And for a lot of modern countries, it's below the replacement rate. So, meaning each person has fewer kids than are required to replace them. So especially like the United States is below that level. Japan's way below that level.
Yeah, yeah, Japan
Um,
definitely, yeah.
and one of the big problems with and China is actually shockingly going to have this problem too because of their one child policy.
Not enough
And
girls.
yep, yeah, way too few girls and really just too few people. And then a lot of their young people are not really getting married and having kids because they have all these
Right.
kind of like socioeconomic problems. But the problem, the issue there with China is because have restricted the population growth so much that now they're having all these old people who are moving into retirement age who need young people
Assistance.
to continue the economy and to
Right.
staff the nursing homes and the
Hmm.
various things. And so there's like this really cool image you can see, which let me I'm gonna let me draw a little doodle here for you. Um, sorry, I'm gonna just go off on a totally random side tangent
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
'Cause
no.
this is really
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Yeah. No, I think that's yeah, because I was actually on watching a YouTube video, and they were talking about Japan, that uh there's there less kids are getting married now. They're having less babies, and then they are, like you said, the older elder boomer population is growing, and there's no kids to take care of them, and that's like a huge thing going on. And so I think Japan is like trying to get their citizens to procreate more, but they don't want to because it's having kids is really expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And forgive me, this is going to be a little wacky. I've never used Krita before, but I had it downloaded on my computer so that I could do a little doodle here. There's this
Oh,
really
awesome.
neat graph that you can see where like actually how do I adjust the size of oh here we go up here. Let's do this. Yeah, there we go. That may be a little bit too much, but you could do a graph like this where you've got like men here, women here. Um, this is the age, so that's like babies, and this is like really old people here. So maybe you've got like, middle-aged people are here. Like, 25 is here. Oh, my tablet is like really struggling here. And then 75 is up here. Um, so this is the age kind of like increasing on the left-hand side, and you got men, women on this side. Um, you can draw a sort of like a population chart where, maybe it'll look a little bit something like this, where you've got this pyramid.
Uh-huh.
So in this case, you have, uh, actually, yeah, right down the middle here. So on this side is men, and on this side is women. And then can I hit, no? Okay, so, oh, I guess I could do that. Um, how do I switch back to that and then switch to the side. So actually this is like the population size actually. So, here would be a population of 0 and here let's just say it's like, I don't know, 1 billion. And then on this side, same thing. It's also 1 billion. So as you move away from the center of the graph, you are increasing the population size. And as you move up the graph, you are increasing the age.
Oh,
So age goes that way and population increases as you go left and right. So in a graph like this, you would have like an equal amount of males and females because it's a you know, uh, what is it, an isosceles triangle where it's like equal on both sides.
Yes.
You have a whole bunch of babies because you've got like a billion babies, so like a billion apiece. So this is a population of 2 billion. You got 2 billion female babies and 2 billion male babies. But as the population ages, it shrinks. So you've got fewer 25-year-olds than babies. You've got like half as many 50-year-olds as 25-year-olds, right? Because like at the
Mm-hmm.
50-year-old level, they only go out to here. So if oh man, that's a really terrible straight line. But yeah, if you go like down here, you can see like, oh, that's about half of a billion. And then at the very top, you have, just a tiny little amount um, of very old people.
Under.
So people who
Yeah.
are, yeah, in the like, who are not, I mean, and anybody who's like, from probably around here up is not really contributing much to society. And anybody who's like, here down is not really contributing much to society because these people are too young to be able to do anything. They're helpless and need to be helped. These
Right.
people up here are too old, so they need to be
Right.
helped too,
Yeah.
which means that the burden for taking care of society falls on the people in the middle here.
Yeah.
Um, Part of the problem is that this pyramid doesn't look like that in a lot of these countries. So like, and I'm going to do a terrible job of drawing this, but you can have something like I think China's looks something like this, which means that you have this
Oh
really
yeah.
big aging population up
Elder.
here. You
Yeah.
don't have that, enough people in the working class group because this is a lot smaller,
Right.
and the babies that people have been having in this section, uh, it's not enough to help offset everything that's up here, and it's even worse
Right.
if this gets thinner like this because then
Yeah.
as these babies grow up, they are caring for more and more of these people up here.
Yeah.
So the problem with a lot of countries that don't have population rates that are at replacement level, where like every couple is having two or more children, um, then this starts to become a problem, especially because those countries also happen to have better healthcare
Mm-hmm.
and more stability economically and more opportunity for people, especially women, to choose to do things other than, become moms and become stay-at-home moms and have kids. So it can create a lot of pressure on the society that is getting older and doesn't have enough young people to replace them. Could be this big problem, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of a thing that's happening in all these like major countries. And the like really crazy number or a crazy thing that I heard that I don't know if it's actually accurate or not, but it's that by the end of the century there will be more. The population of Nigeria will be bigger than the population of China, which I can't like right now I can't imagine that, but
Yeah.
because in a lot of African countries, which are still developing and don't have the sort of advances of more developed nations like a Japan, like a United States, where um, all of those progresses that I just mentioned creates that lower fertility rate. In a lot of the African countries, the fertility rate is still very high, where a lot, I
Mm.
think on average, it's like 8 children per woman, which is
Wow.
more than enough to not
Yeah.
only replace the population, but for it to grow. So in the coming century, Africa is going to have a huge population explosion,
Yeah.
and China is going to have the opposite problem.
Yeah.
They're already starting to like reverse their policies with one child.
One
It,
child. Right.
soon it might become a mandatory one child
Ha.
policy where you have to have at least one kid.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
we'll see. But yeah,
Yeah.
and in Japan it's kind of the same thing. They're like really trying to encourage people to have kids. There's even like a government funded version of Tinder in
Mm-hmm.
Japan, um, to try to help people meet and you know have more kids because that is a big, complicated problem that I think maybe is only going to be solved by the introduction of robots. Robots that can take care of the elderly, because there's just not going to be enough young people to take care of them. And that's when we can start looking at the technology of like, how can I upload my brain out of this old
Yeah.
failing body into like I saw this documentary a while ago. I don't remember what it was, but it was like trying to project into the future, like what might things look like, and one of the scenarios was all of humanity had like uploaded themselves onto these hard drives that were then being guarded by these robots, and the robots had taken this sort of like this hard drive mainframe system into space, landed on a different planet, and were like terraforming the planet. But that was humanity. It was just, it only existed in like this mainframe, and there were all these
Mm,
like external physical robots that were the caretakers of
mm,
that consciousness, but it was
mm-hmm.
purely digital at that point. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, man. We
There,
may very well get to a point where we can just upload into the Matrix or the
oh God.
Oasis, or whatever your preference is.
Yeah, yeah. Two things, two shows IPs that that reminds me of this. One is one of the episodes from Black Mirror where you can upload your consciousness up to into a server. I believe that episode was called San Junipero. And that's a great. It's like you know how a lot of the Black Mirror episodes are like really dark and sad and scary and shit. Like what is it, chaos and all that stuff,
Yeah.
or apocalyptic even. But that episode was very very touching. They actually had a good ending. Is like you could upload your consciousness when you die and then be with the ones you love forever and ever, right? So that's one thing that reminds me of what we're talking about. And then another thing is this show on Netflix. It's called Altered Carbon. Is like
Mm.
you basically have a disk in the back of your head, and you live, and whatever you live is downloaded into the disk. And then so
Hmm.
if your body dies, you could take your disk and then actually put it into someone else, and then you take over that body. But you yourself, you, you're just in another body. And it's kind of funny because like there's a character is like an old grandma. She's actually using a convict's like a male convict's body, and then so she's like taking a piss. She's like, "Oh, this is so interesting, taking a piss with a penis." It's just like, "Oh my God, that's really interesting." It's very very cool. So yeah, yeah, that what you just talked about is very very intriguing, and the whole technology of I get so excited when I watch people play Detroit Become Human, and or the concept of having androids with assisted living, and doing chores, around the house and just hanging out with them. And are will they be good for us, or will they take over the world and destroy us like Terminator 2? I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty optimistic. I don't think we'll have Skynet. Um, I think our robot overlords will be they really will be caretakers trying to do what's best for us. But at the same time, I also kind of think humanity will go extinct. Like our the robots will be our legacy. They will be the
Mm,
next. They're like our collective children that we have given birth to that will then live on into the future. But
yeah,
we won't be around forever.
yeah.
And in fact, there's like you can see this speaking of movies, not a very popular movie, though I would defend it, and maybe at some future time I can, if that's at all interesting to you and or the chat. But Steven Spielberg's movie Artificial Intelligence AI,
Hmm.
widely regarded as not one of his best. Um, but the end of that movie, basically the protagonist is a little boy who's a robot, and he gets trapped underwater, and he gets stuck down there for like eons, thousands,
Mm,
tens of thousands of years, maybe millions of years. And when I first saw that, oh, by the way, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen AI, but it's been out for like 20 years, so you've kind of, you've had plenty of time to see it. Um, but anyway, so he's trapped, and of course he's a robot, so as long as he's got enough battery juice, like he's totally fine. Um, but then he gets discovered, and when I first saw this, because I was like a teenager at the time, I thought he got discovered by aliens. It was like, oh wow, these aliens have finally found him, and they turn him on, and they like download from his brain, like to see like, oh cool, he's a robot. Here's the time in which he lived and the experiences that he recorded onto his hard drive. But and it's kind of left ambiguous that like whether or not those really are aliens. But there's a case to be made that they're not aliens and they're just a really advanced form of artificial intelligence, of human engineered robots just evolving and changing over time to the point where they're the only thing that is left of humanity, and they
Mm,
come back to Earth and are like finding the artifacts and in the buried underneath the ocean, from when humans did exist and they don't anymore.
yeah.
So I think that's the most likely thing. Not to get like really dark about all of this, um, but I don't think we're gonna have a Terminator as cool and fun as it is in action movies. Um, yeah, I don't think we're gonna have the Skynet thing where the robots are trying to kill us. Uh, I think they will take care of us, but humans are just built in a way that we're going to make fewer and fewer humans and
Yeah.
just hang out more and more with robots until eventually there's no more humans.
Yeah. Dr. Pecker says I love that movie and highly underrated.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, real quick teaser for my argument for that movie. I definitely agree with people that it's not Steven Spielberg's best movie. He's got a whole bunch of others that are way better. However, what he was trying to do with that movie, because this was a movie that he was originally collaborating with Stanley Kubrick on. And Stanley Kubrick, he did, Clockwork Orange and Full Metal Jacket and The Shining and all these other movies. And I'm not a big Kubrick fan. I know he's
Mm,
brilliant, but his movies are so dark and uh, they just it's like the worst case scenario, most cynical look at humanity, and they're really hard for me to watch. But he's brilliant, or was, but he died, and he died before he and Steven Spielberg could complete this project that they were working on called AI. So when Spielberg finally got around to finishing it, he tried to do it as though it was still him and Kubrick making it. So the
mm,
way that he filmed that movie and the screenplay choices, the screenwriting choices are all this combination of Spielberg and Spielberg interpreting what Kubrick would have done.
mm,
And it's, I think if you look at it from that perspective through that lens, it's fucking brilliant. Like it's so good. It feels like wow, this is a Kubrick Spielberg mashup movie, and it's weird, and it has these moments that are very Spielbergian, and it has these moments that are very Kubrickian. Um, and in that capacity, I think it's a resounding success.
eh,
However, I think that combination is just a weird one. It's like, yeah, it was successful. Spielberg did it miraculously, but it was a bad combination, and it made people
mm.
feel really weird and gross and be like, oh, this does, it's like, drinking orange juice after brushing your teeth. Like,
Oh yeah.
these things don't really go together.
Mm.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's
So
my
so s-
mini rant on AI.
so if I ever not exist anymore, Michael, all the video games that you create, you're gonna have to make sure that I you take me into account and make the game like how I would have made it as well.
There you go. Yeah,
Doc,
I'll channel,
yes, the
your
Chris energy.
artistic. Exactly.
Yeah. And Dr. Pecker says another underrated movie, The Fifth Element. Oh my God, I love that movie. That movie
Yes.
is
Holy
so
shit.
good.
Fifth Element
Oh
is
God,
amazing.
I could totally go into that. But before I talk about that movie, but Dr. Pecker did ask. I'm gonna say it's our final question for tonight, and this is one for Michael. So take another sip of water. Michael, Dr. Pecker asked, Michael, where do you get your inspiration from when writing?
Mm, really good question. That comes from a couple different places. And it's inspiration comes unbidden. It's just I can't go out and get it. It happens when it happens. There's certain times where you can put yourself into a place where it's like, oh hey, it's like if if you like hiking and you like being in the wilderness and you really want to see a bear, you can go hiking. You can go into the forest. That doesn't mean you're going to see a bear. If you keep doing that though, eventually, yeah, the likely probability of you encountering a bear is high, and then you oh wow, cool, there's a bear. Um, I don't recommend necessarily doing that because bears can be dangerous, but they can also be really cool. Like I've seen some bears in the wild. It's neat. It's a moment. It's like
Mm,
whoa, that's a bear. But
Mm,
anyway, the point is, if you want to see a bear, you have to go into the woods. If you never go into the woods, then you're definitely not going to see a bear. So when it comes to inspiration, you just have to kind of put yourself into these environments where it can come, where it can happen. And for me, I find that a lot of the times that comes from a couple different places. Um, I'm kind of like a learnophile. I love learning new things. I'm like one of my favorite streaming platforms is Wondrium, which is like the company behind the great courses. So if you've heard of those audio books or those like learning courses where they pick a topic and they get like this established professor or lecturer, like somebody who really knows what they're talking about, to come in and be like, oh yeah, this person's going to talk all about uh, you know Egyptology, and they give you like 20 lectures at 30 minutes apiece, and they talk about a different, like, I love that stuff. Like, stuff's so
mm,
cool. And ingesting that kind of content, you will, or at least for me, like, I'll get ideas and be like, ooh, that little piece right there that he said about, this particular figure in history doing this thing, that's really neat. That would make a really cool story, or that would fit in this story that I'm working on over here. So now I'll like pluck that thing and put it in there. Um, so seeking out that kind of content is one place, and then the other thing that I find really gives me a lot of ideas, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but is putting myself into positions where I'm bored, where I'm really bored. Like rather than allowing myself to constantly be stimulated by like, oh, I'm sitting here, don't really have anything to do, let me turn on a YouTube video, or I'm gonna go do the dishes, but I'm gonna put on a podcast and listen to something. Instead of that, intentionally saying, like, I'm going to go do something boring, like walk on this treadmill for 30 minutes with no music, no podcast, no book, no nothing, just me on this treadmill, bored out of my mind. When you put yourself into those kind of situations, your brain cannot help but start trying to think of things and distract you and get
sure,
creative. And
sure.
I find like some of my most inspiring ideas come from those moments when I'm like,
Mm,
when I create space to be bored, then the creative juices really start flowing and things start
mhm.
happening.
That
And
happens to me when I'm taking a shower. That's
yeah,
when I
right?
get inspiration. It's showers, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so counterintuitive, but it's also tragic because we live in, I mean, it's great that we live in times where you don't ever have to be bored. Like you have constant access to entertainment all
Mhm,
the
mhm,
time. And because boredom feels uncomfortable, but at the same time, because we're so good at that, we leave no space for your mind to wander, to
mm,
daydream. Um, so yeah. Anyway, nothing magical there, but that's kind of like where I get my inspiration from. I just try to like create space and expose myself to either boredom or to other ideas or stories. Um, and yeah, and then ideas just come.
yeah. Dr. Pecker says that's a really smart way to go about it. So thank you, Michael, for
Thanks.
sharing that. Yeah. No, I
And
totally
thanks for the
agree. Like,
question.
yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I asked you that, or he asked gets a chance to ask you that. Yeah, because yeah, for me, it's definitely when I'm all the inspiration ideas is when I'm taking a nice hot shower. I don't know why. I guess that puts me in a very relaxing, cleansing state of mind. I guess that or when I'm taking a poop. It's just like nothing. When I don't have the phone with me, I'm just like just sitting there, like just doing my business, and it's like, oh, maybe I should, I have a cool idea. So it's always in the bathroom. It's always in the bathroom
Hmm.
where get my ideas. So it's really
Maybe it's the
really fun.
running water white noise. You're just like, oh, it's
Yeah,
I've heard hypotheses that the reason that the white noise like triggers these kind of moments is that it's like instinctual nostalgia for the womb when you're inside the womb and you're hearing like the white noise of your mother's body.
yeah,
I don't know.
interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah,
Or
you're
maybe you
in the
just really like the bathroom.
ambiotic fluid. It's like, whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, interesting. But cool. I think we should end this tonight's stream soon. But yeah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Michael, for giving us your Unity update. And as well as I love the questions and we just basically started talking about technology and androids and movies. We're all over the place. I love that. I
Yeah.
love talking about this stuff. Uh, one thing that I wanted to say before we leave is, yeah, like any video games, for example, like Detroit Becoming Human. I just fell in love with that game, and
That game is
and
so cool.
yeah, we'll talk more about that later next time. And Totoro says, Isaac Asimov wrote 500 books by sitting down and typing every weekday at 6:30, even if it was nonsense. Love that
Oh
story.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that kind of like goes in and kind of just shows that if you just keep doing something consistently, you'll get there day by day, and you'll bit by bit, it's
Hmm.
just keep marching on, like drawing those 78 tarot cards. If you tell me that, like, you're gonna have to do 78 tarot cards, I'd be like, oh my God, but if I just did one or two a day, then or uh, one or two, do one every 1 or 2 days, then it might be doable. It's possible, and I did it, and it's totally achievable as long as you just keep cons- be consistent at it. And that's one thing that is keeping me going for this video game because I finally see a little glimpse at the light at the end of the tunnel because we set a date for ourselves and it's like okay we know where the end date is and we started producing assets that is actually game will be game ready hopefully by tonight that we could start to use for scene 4 and just keep going just keep going at it little by little, right? um so yeah, okay. Really quick, I'm gonna wrap up this show by by saying, please check out our social. Please follow on our YouTube channel and our Discord, as well as make sure you follow Michael and myself. Oh, fun fact! I just need 3 more people in order to get 100 YouTube subscribers. So if you guys have a YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and as well as a Creative Tavern channel. I am so close to getting my own URL. I just need 3 more people to subscribe, and
Yeah.
I'll get there. Yeah. So yes. So please follow me on my what is it? There you go. You can follow me on twitch.tv at Lead Design Studio and I will keep you guys updated on my next Kickstarter. And anything else? Anything else? Yes, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that is it for me. Michael, your turn.
Yep. So check the link in the description if you are interested at all in the storytelling stuff and you want to support me. I've got a book out there you can find in that link. I'm also, like I had mentioned, planning still to do a stream, but that can's been kicked down the road a little bit. So stay tuned later this year for that. In the meantime, you can definitely find me right here in the Creative Tavern, joining Chris twice a week, every Wednesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'd love to have you. So we'll see you
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, we'll see you then. And Dr. Pecker says, now only 2. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I just need 2 more people. That's cool. But anyways, yes. Update now. You
99!
have 99. Oh
Only
my
one more.
God! I just need one more. This is so
Wait a
awesome.
minute.
Thank you
Am
guys so
I
much.
subscribed? Maybe.
Holy cow.
Can I be number 100?
Oh my God. That would be so fun if you were
I don't
number
think I'm
100.
subscribed, Chris.
Oh my
What
God,
what is it? Is it Lee
subscribe.
Design Studio?
Well, I mean, it's
Oh, I guess I could click the link that you just shared, right?
yes. Check it out. Oh my
All
God,
right,
I'm
here we
gonna
go.
get 100 tonight. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not subscribed. Here we go. Number 100. Dun
Thank
dun
you. Thank
dun.
you, Michael. Thank you, everyone in the chat and all the people who have subscribed to the
We
YouTube
did it in
channel.
real time.
Yeah, we did it in
It
real time.
happened.
I could finally, get my own YouTube/C/Lee Design Studio. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And like how Michael said, we are here every Wednesday and Sundays, and please join us at 7 p.m. PST. So thank you so much, everyone. You guys are awesome. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and end now. All right. Good
Oh,
night, guys.
raid.
Oh, go. Oh yes, we shall raid. So don't go anywhere, you guys. We're gonna go ahead and raid. But until next time, we'll see you guys Sunday. Okay. Bye. See ya. All right. All right. Okay. Don't go anywhere, guys. I need to. Thank you so much, Michael, for following. That's
Yeah,
great, man.
I didn't realize it, but it kind of worked out, I guess.
Yeah. You're the number 100. All right, let me see who we can raid. Let's
Man, I love
raid.
your little girl models. I saw the Alice in Wonderland, but I don't think I'd seen the Star Spangled Girl and the Lifeguard Girl.
Nah, yeah. Oh yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
They're so
Uh
cute.
yeah, I want to do more of those, but I just never again, I have so much stuff that we're doing nowadays.
I know, man.
All right,
Yeah, I feel bad for not doing some of the other thing, like the stream and getting the books out, and but it's so hard to do stuff. There's just not enough
yeah.
time in a day.
Yeah. All right. We're going to raid Carol Phillips art. I just met
Ooh.
her. She does traditional painting. She does like really, really cool, what is it? Not mythical, but medieval, I guess, is fantasy art. Fantasy art is what she does. So we're going to go ahead and raid her now. And I don't know why. My thing is not loading. Okay. Oh, it's loading. It's loading.
Thinking about it.
Yay! Yeah, loading. And I'm gonna press chat.
Awesome.
Oh, there you go. We're going. We're going.
So long, everybody. Have
Bye,
a good night.
guys. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome and amazing.